My name is Emily Strands and I'm board chair. I'll go Tiff next.
Tiffany Strands, board member.
Shannon Veit, payroll manager. Michelle Dawkins, executive director.
Sarah Grace, 4-5 teacher.
Janet Baker, literacy specialist and MTA. Lisa Goddard, 2-3 teacher and MTA.
Foster, volunteer.
Elizabeth McNanny here with Main Street Mosier. And online.
Oh, wait, let's hear Marie.
Oh, sorry.
Marie Maru, board secretary.
Great. And then I'll go to McKenna next, please.
McKenna McKee, board member.
Thank you. And then Jordan and Amy.
I'm Jordan Kim. I'm a teaching artist with Arts and Education of the Gorge.
And I'm Amy Gray, the Executive Director at Arts and Education of the Gorge.
Wonderful. Thank you. So glad to have you here, everyone. Okay, we first need to look at our agenda because I know that there are some changes that need to happen. So one change is that I would like to suggest we move item number 14, which is our 4-day school week, up to what will then be item 6, because we have Amy and Jordan here to present on part of that topic. Tiffany, you had something to add?
I also, we don't need to do them individually. Like the.
Oh, no, we can just, I
Okay.
don't think so.
I would also like to add something to the agenda under item 16C facilities, we'll say. Went over the slide proposal for out front and possible board action or at least discussion to approve funds.
Okay, great. Any other changes? We also have Sarah Grace here to present under the executive director report. Should we move at least her portion up so you don't have to be here with us all night?
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
This babysitter.
This night.
Okay, well, let's move you up at least to under item 11. I think that we got a lot on the agenda. I don't want to keep you too long. And you are more than welcome, of course, to stay for the whole entire thing. But we'll move Sarah Grace, or we'll move the whole ED report up to under item 11. Any other changes or additions? Could I get a motion?
I move that we approve the agenda amendments as stated.
Awesome. All those in favor?
Wait,
Oh, second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Great, thank you, everyone. Motion passes. Then with that, let's see. What about the April regular meeting minutes and the May special meeting minutes? Any changes that need to happen on those two documents before we finalize them? I thought they looked really good. Thank you.
Thanks. I just had to, I was missing the time of adjournment.
Okay.
I don't think it's, I could probably figure it out based on the recording, but.
I bet that's right. And you know what? There was something else that was missing in the May meeting summary. It was part of our conversation. And I flagged it for myself and didn't write it down. I flagged it in my head, which doesn't have what I need right now. Could we table that?
Yeah.
Approval for the May? Because I did see something that was missing. So how about the April? Can we approve April for now?
I move that we approve the April regular board meeting minutes.
I'll second.
All those in favor? Great, motion passes. Okay, thank you. Elizabeth, would you like to come up closer to the microphone? We have a request from me and presentation from Main Street Mosier for the Mosier Fest, and we've got Elizabeth McNanny here to share it with us.
Yes. I am here to request permission to have a beer, wine, cider garden, as we have had in numerous previous Mosier Fests past. And I have information to share with the board about that. I know I should have sent this out before, so McKenna, that you could have had a copy of this, but I have a copy of kind of what we had sent out last year with the OLCC permit. So I'll start with, we have been having Mosier Fest here at the school as a partnership between Main Street Mosier and Mosier Community School for many years. And it has worked out extremely well. We typically have a beer, wine, cider garden on the lawn. We always receive an OLCC permit to do that. And we do display our permit as required. So I'll kind of go through sort of our process. The OLCC serving permit is displayed in the beer, wine, cider garden, which is fully enclosed. So people are not able to get in and out without going through a very specific doorway or entryway. And we have an ID check station located at the entrance. Everyone who enters has an ID check. And if they are not 21 or over, they do not get a wristband and they cannot come in. So we do not allow kids in the beer, wine, cider area. And we make sure that anyone who is being poured a drink has one of those wristbands, and it doesn't look like it's been tampered with. We also have alcohol monitors throughout the space who watch for folks who might inadvertently, most of the time we haven't had anything nefarious, but you might have someone with a kid outside and a spouse passing over a beer. That's not allowed. We don't allow that. We shut that down. We don't allow anyone to leave the area with alcohol. It all has to be contained in the beer, wine, cider garden. And we do not serve any hard alcohol at all. The beer garden is staffed with ID checkers and ticket sellers. So you have to buy a ticket separate from where the beer, wine, and cider is actually served, which is another check to ensure over-serving isn't happening. Another set of eyes on the people there. All volunteers working in the beer, wine, cider garden are required to read and sign the OLCC brochure, what every volunteer alcohol server needs to know. And they have to acknowledge that they have received that, and they do sign. Bilingual signage is posted indicating no alcohol beyond this point. And ID checkers monitor guests departing to ensure that no alcohol leaves the garden. All volunteers wear an ID badge, clearly identifying themselves as a Mosier Fest volunteer. We have received our permits from the OLCC every year without issue. And we have had OLCC come on site just once that we know of. We don't know if they've been there before, but or since, and no problems were identified. We have insurance coverage, and this year, a little bit different than in years past, we will have paid staff who are licensed servers who are in the area, specifically at the drink sales area and ID check. So we would request that the board approve having us submit our license application and allowing us to have beer, wine, and cider at Mosier Fest.
You just need a motion.
I will
to-
stand for questions.
Yeah.
if there are
Oh,
any.
sorry.
If there are any questions, thoughts?
Nope, I'm happy to make a motion though.
All right, I don't.
Go for it. Go for it.
Go ahead,
Questions?
McKenna.
Anyone in the room?
Okay, I make a motion that we approve having a beer and alcohol available at Mosier Fest.
Okay,
I second.
second from Tip. All those in favor? Okay, motion passes.
Awesome.
Easy
Thank
peasy.
you.
Thanks, Elizabeth.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, and can I leave copies of our insurance?
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Okay, here. Thank you.
Pass those to.
Yeah.
Here, Shannon.
Great.
I'll take-
I like that. Great, okay. Well, our next item is an update on our 4-day school week. And we've got a couple of gals here to present. Michelle, would you like to kick it off with just an
Yes,
update? And
we're so excited because we're trying to our Flex Fridays that we're going to be having. We're trying to figure out like how can we make them inviting and enticing for kids to come, and we're so excited to be partnering now with Arts and Education, which is Amy Gray and Jordan Kim, and we had a meeting, and I do not remember the other lady's name, but we had another lady that actually does the same thing. I'm sure Amy will explain it in their school district on Fridays, and it was really she had some great advice and all sorts of stuff for us. So, but they have a proposal for us they would basically run our Fridays for us. We would provide some support staff for them, and very excited about it. So, Amy, you want to take it away?
Sounds great. Thank you for that introduction, Michelle. I'm Amy Gray, and I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much. Yes, Ariadne Grace is the other woman who came with us for a meeting. She is down in Southern Oregon, and she runs a program that has been doing Friday programming for free for years for students in their 4-day school. And she is one of the leaders initiating a statewide cause called Fifth for the Arts, so that other counties and school districts, of which there are more than 70 now in the state of Oregon, have models for enrichment on the 5th day that would have been a school day. And we would love to partner in this way with Ariadne and around the state, as with Mosier being a model program of arts and ed. And I thought one way to sort of introduce you to our philosophy is to show some slides just to make it a little more beautiful. If I can do that, how do you feel?
yes, I think we might need Robin's support on that. Rob, unless you just see if you can share screen.
I'm going to send you a request, and maybe if you say yes, then it will allow.
Yep, Robin's there for you.
Great. Okay, so now I am going to share, and I'm going to share my screen. I want to share this. I want to share this. Okay. I think this is what all right.
Yeah,
You can see it.
we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is students from the Dalles and Hood River, and finishing up a summer program that was a partnership between the Dalles Art Center and the Columbia Center for the Arts and Arts and Ed. And building creative, connected, and resilient communities is what Arts and Education of the Gorge is all about. Our mission is to enhance every child's education through performing, visual, literary arts in schools. This is a mural that an artist is proposing right now to the Wellness Hub, which is a center in White Salmon that is a collective of leaders in wellness. And they asked Arts and Ed to lead the charge. And what we did was we asked students in the White Salmon schools if they wanted to present ideas. And then Nancy Guzman, who's a muralist that we work with, took all the student ideas. So one student had a bunny sleeping under a tree. Another student had a beating heart in a tree. Another student had flowers and hummingbirds. And all of that came together in her beautiful holistic image. And they aren't choosing this. So this is just one of some of the other ideas. So you'll never see this mural out in the world potentially, but there will be one that will it's asking her to go back to the table and reincorporate. And that's what artists do best. A lot of design and creativity. We like to think about the work that we do as this mycelial network. So there's so much that happens under the roots, and then you get the fruiting bodies. And this is a Jordan Kim, she planted this seed deep in a lot of us around the state in a recent convening, and I'm just running with it because it's how I now think about so many of the projects. There's so much that we put into the thing that then everybody sees. So when you look at a mushroom in the forest, knowing that there are miles and miles of mycelium underneath that fruiting body that is happening to make that possible, that's our work. And it's Arts and Ed's work with 40 teaching artists on our roster that teach all over 4 counties, but it's the work of the state and arts educators and like all of you in a district. We're kind of like a district, but we spread out invisibly and come into schools versus being organized in the way that the districts actually are. So that's how we think about Arts and Education of the Gorge. We're celebrating our 40-year anniversary this year of being in schools, and we have been doing all kinds of new and interesting programming. This slide shows the outside of room 111, which is sort of a model program for how we are envisioning Fifth for the Arts, which is what we're calling what we would be doing with you on Fridays. Right now, that's Fifth for the Arts. That's going to gain traction and potentially funding too in years to come as we sort of mobilize around this concept and ask for potentially state and federal funding to support kids in this fifth day. And we are so grateful to have this opportunity for you to fund it in this first year while we seek more funding to make it sustainable. So Fifth for the Arts, this is room 111. That's the name of the program. It's also the name of the classroom at Whipsis Intermediate School in White Salmon. And it's a 5th and 6th grade intermediate school. It has 7 classrooms. And the students come, the 5th graders come on Tuesdays and the 6th graders come on Wednesdays. And it's run by 3 teaching artists that we think of as a braid. They come together. Sometimes there are only 2 in the room and 1 is doing planning. Sometimes they're all 3 in the room and the kids are in 3 groups and they rotate. Sometimes they're all 3 in the room and they stay as a group. Sometimes they go outside. Sometimes 1 leads and the other 2 are doing something with just 1 student or 2 students. So it looks a lot of different ways, but it's 3 instructors and students coming in and out all day long for 2 days. So with your program, we have also budgeted to have 3 artists, and it's not a school day, and so it won't have the structure that room 111 has. Therefore, it offers an opportunity for us to create and bring a lot of structure with you and for you so that you don't have to do a lot of that. This great luxury of being in the school and working with teachers drop their students off and leave, but they're there. And we don't expect that in our Fifth for the Arts program with you. This slide deck has a few more images that are really beautiful of the kinds of things we do, giving ideas of what creative areas we work in. Jordan is going to be a lead. She's a really experienced, strong teaching artist on our roster, and I want her to speak for herself and give her time in your meeting. But I can send you this slide deck if you're interested in learning more. It shows a lot of pictures of the different kinds of art that students make and the modalities working collaboratively. We do a lot of collaborative group work with students collaborating and artists collaborating. And they end up sometimes making really big things. In this case, this is the star quilt that they built in Dufur. And sometimes they decorate the outsides of things right there on their school grounds that are already there, just need to be beautified. And they do a lot of thinking for themselves. Student choice and voice is a big important thing in critical thinking, being creative and awakening your imagination. So I'll leave it there and I'm happy to answer any questions, but I'd love Jordan to take it away.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions so far of Amy before I jump in?
Questions? Any questions? No, that's so exciting. That sounds wonderful.
Great.
I've been a teaching artist with Arts and Education for nearly 10 years now. And before that, Emily and I actually crossed paths when I was district manager for the Soil and Water Conservation District, and before that, technician. And so I have a whole nother life as an ecologist, and I love being able to weave art and ecology into the work that I do with the kiddos. I teach all grades and all ages throughout the gorge. I live up in Parkdale, but I'm excited about kind of building that community that I have built in the Upper Valley and maybe branching out and connecting, making a bridge to Mosier. You know, that's kind of part of that mycelial network, is this idea that where we can connect resources. And I'd like to use some of the tools and things that have worked up in Parkdale with the kids that I work up there, and use some of those same tools with Mosier. I teach a regular after school group of kiddos that are mixed group, so K through 5. And I often have middle schoolers join that. I have a middle schooler, so that helps. And I know that Michelle was not certain if we'd be able to glean a lot of the middle school interest, but I really hope we will over time, and we would be able to incentivize their involvement with maybe some jobs and things that they could gain some experience with, and maybe be extra helpers and take some of these projects to another level. I'm thinking art shows and other opportunities for them to engage with the community and showcase some of the work that we do. I'm really excited about the idea of running with a place-based kind of curriculum, really focusing on the sense of place and honoring the amazing ecology of the place where we live, and taking that a little deeper with arts integration, and bringing in some of the amazing teaching artists on the roster. I kind of foresee being one of the lead teachers to sort of steer the ship, and then being able to pull in a lot of the different voices and amazing resources and folks in our community that have all kinds of different skill sets that we can pull from and give kids as many of those kinds of experiences as we can. So that's kind of what Arts and Ed does best. And I'm just really excited about the potential of partnering with you guys. And we want to make this what you want it to be. So I also really want to hear from you guys and make sure that this is a path that is interesting and exciting to you.
Awesome. Yes, please. The answer is yes, please. Yeah, how cool. What a wonderful program. And
Yeah,
also
I
how
might just-
exciting.
Oh, go ahead.
No, please.
I was just going to add that both Amy and I serve on this this Oregon Arts Educator Collective, which is a statewide network of arts educators, and we are both really involved in this Fifth for Arts programming that's being developed for rural communities in Oregon, and specifically trying to take advantage of that fifth day to be able to enrich in what otherwise would be kind of a lost opportunity. And so we're envisioning Mosier as maybe a pilot for this program, but as Michelle mentioned, and Amy too, that Ariadne, and there are other programs in the state that we can already turn to, and those folks are involved in the Fifth for Arts program. So I think that we could make a nice connection to not have to reinvent the wheel, and use some of the know-how and mishaps and learn from other people's experiences so that we don't have to do that again, and sort of build the program from what other people can share with us. So I think that's another real benefit to the timing of things right now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like the stars have aligned.
They have.
That's great. Okay. Yeah. Questions or comments, Marie?
Yeah, thank you so much. This sounds wonderful, and it's great to know that you have so many other schools that have offered this, and that you don't have to reinvent. Oh,
Sorry, that was me. Sorry.
We're so good though.
oh, we're so good.
Mhm.
Not have to reinvent the wheel, because this school is going to go through a big transition. So, you know, sounds like you have a lot of experience, which is very encouraging. And I wonder if, because we have questions about, you know, how many kids are going to show up and how is it going to be received? And there are a lot of question marks, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
I wonder if you have any ideas based on the school districts you've worked with, other schools. We have, you know, 185 kiddos K-8, what the participation has looked like. And, you know, I mean, in my mind, I think it would be wonderful if all the kids showed up on Friday. And would that be possible? And what, you know, have you seen it before? Or anyhow, I would just love to know more about what you've seen across Oregon in your time, to kind of help us get an idea of what may be coming.
Yeah. Well, I love the way you're thinking about it. I love your philosophy and hope. Wouldn't it be a dream if kids opted to go to school on days that they didn't have to go to school because they loved school? Because our biggest problem in the state of Oregon is attendance, right? There are lots of reasons why kids are not going to school. And there's a nice long list on the Oregon Department of Education website. And if we could overcome those problems by creating programs that made them want to go, that's the goal. So I will say that it depends a lot on what district you're talking about, and transportation and getting kids there and mindsets and parent, like some places I think it's probably less likely that many kids will go, but I feel like Mosier is a place where you're just outside the urban core. I think some foundations are starting to say, is Hood River and that area even really rural? Like we're pretty connected, and we have a pretty big connective tissue. So I think it's good to think big numbers. I don't know. We don't have enough research to tell us very much about this fifth for the arts concept. We know that Lane Arts, which is also pretty urban, they have some sites that they reach out from Eugene to Mackenzie Bridge. And I can get numbers from Ben, who's in the Oregon Art Collective as well. It sounded like you were maybe thinking 40, in the range of 40 kids might join at the, I think that number got thrown out at some point. Just throw it like, a certain percentage at the wall of what's possible, maybe knowing your population. I think if we want it to expand, it's just a strategic planning process. But I think as far as your communication and your the interest from parents and community, that we're going to get a lot of that from you, that you're going to tell us what your plan is for that process. And if you want us to give you information, the way that Ben's worked with it, the way that Ariadne has worked with it, we can get that for you as far as what was the rollout. But we don't have a lot of information to make a very educated guess about what the student numbers will be. But we will say that we want more and more to come. And as Jordan said, Arts and Ed is also going to support and send artists in during the school day for the in-school residency core program that we have. And hopefully have artists, if that's what you wish for more kids to come on Fridays, have artists of Arts and Ed invite kids to participate in more art making by joining on Fridays, depending on that rolling cycle of, choosing to come. And so make that invitation really clear from all the arts experiences that we deliver, that this is open to you. You can come, it can grow. We want you there. We'd love to support that.
My 2 cents on that also, if I might add a little bit, is just that I think initially, probably for planning purposes, it would be really helpful to have kids register and express their intent to, or families express their intent to join, just so that we can get supply lists and try to have some consistency in the kids that are showing up. And then I would recommend having a few check-ins throughout the year. Like, now we're opening up enrollment again. It's like first trimester, or I don't know what your breakdown would make sense, but after a certain amount of time. And honestly, I think we're going to help sell the program through the organic nature of the kids that go, and they're going to be like, wow, this was so much fun. And then kids are going to find out that their buddies are going and they're having a lot of time, good feedback. And I think that's how things work in this community. I don't know about other communities, but from my experience, my programming, that's what's happened. And so we have a lot of experience to bring. We have a lot of professional artists to help make this program really successful. And I think it'll sell itself, but it may be a slow roll at the beginning. Like you might just have to say, okay, we're maybe going to get 20 kids to sign up for the first 6-week period or whatever. And then we would open it up again and say, okay, we're open to register again. Anybody that still wants to register, and then do it again for another 6 weeks or something like that. And that way we could gain traction without making it really challenging for the folks that are on the ground actually trying to teach and plan for the next week. If like 1 week we have 4 kids and then the next week we have 37 kids, that's really tricky to manage just from a practical standpoint. But we want it to grow, and I fully expect it will grow over time. So I would recommend sort of a rolling start kind of thing, if that works for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for that. And I just also want to really appreciate your enthusiasm for a growing program, because I think that a lot of the board members also have that desire to get as many kids in here on Friday with these enrichment programs. So that's great. And welcome, Julia. Cool.
Hi,
Okay.
Jordan. Hi, Amy. Great to see you. Sorry, I'm late. I've started a new job that makes it a little more challenging, but to be here right at 5. I did want to say we have a little bit of buffer in the schedule because we've got Let's Get Out first and then in addition, and that may just give us some more flexibility as far as selling the program and in the fall startup where we could absorb more kids, because there's two options. If I'm understanding correctly, there will be both the art option and the outdoor option, and I don't know exactly how that'll work, but seems like that could sort of absorb more flexibility in kind of signups, and might help also as we stabilize numbers and sort of get a sense for how best to share with the community and with the rest of the kids everything that's going on.
Sounds great.
On that note, Amy, you offered to share that presentation that you showed us. I think that would be a wonderful thing for us to share out with
Yes.
our families.
Totally. I will send it.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we have a proposal here to look at.
Yeah.
Do you want to speak to it? Anybody?
Well, maybe Amy can speak. So we have just the proposal that you have for the the hope is for them to do the whole 17 days. In addition to that, for the 17 Fridays. And then, but you want to go ahead and talk about it? Amy?
Sure. Yes, the proposal is based on looking at the budget at room 111. We use that as a model for 3 artists in the space for the full day. And we cut it in half because you're 1 day a week, not 2. And we added in the admin costs and overhead for contracting. And that is just to cover the organization for all the things that we do on the arts and ed end. And for 3 artists to be in the room for the full day, all the 17 days. And what I wrote to Michelle was that if for some reason the program starts really small and you have 20 and we do the registration process, which we need to do, and you know that that's going to be true for 6 weeks or something, you won't need 3 artists in the space for that time. So the budget would change and benefit you. You wouldn't have to spend as much because you're not paying for that 3rd artist. So we would watch it as we go along. And if we ended up needing to change the budget based on you have larger numbers and you need more artists, then that's just another planning process. But for now, if you had 3 artists all day, all 3 days, all 17 Fridays through the whole year, doing all the planning, curriculum and development, and having time and miles are in there and supplies, you would come to the bottom line that I'm proposing to Michelle, which I don't have up on my screen right now, Michelle, but I can get it, or maybe you have it in front of you.
Yeah, we have it in front of us. So.
We got it. It's 29,560.
Yeah.
29,560. Yeah, I said that right.
Good.
Don't deal with numbers that often.
And it's all broken out there. So if there are any questions about any of that, just ask away.
Okay. Yeah. Tiff?
And so this is budget is assuming 40 kids then that would participate, or give or take.
I feel like a 12 to 15 kid max per adult is,
Okay.
I mean, 15 is kind of 45 kids with 3 adults is kind of tight. I think we'd want to have another adult there at that point, but 40 for sure. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So, your program in White Salmon, the 111 room, you said this was in half. So are you serving 80 kids?
No, we actually over there, we do the whole student body, but we do 2 full days
Oh, it's the
every
day.
week.
Okay.
So I was doing it by day. Yeah.
Okay, by day.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have a nice luxury. We have about 8 to 9 kids to adult ratio in that space. That's pretty luxury.
Yeah, that sounds fabulous.
What else? What other questions do folks have?
Yeah, how it does, actually, no.
We are gonna use not room 111, well, ours is just room 11. So we all love that. Anyway, we're actually, Lisa and I have already talked about her moving into my office, and then we're just gonna make that a giant art room, and it also will be like a meeting room or anything like that, so.
Okay.
And they'll be able to store their stuff back, so I don't have to haul it back and forth all the time, so, yeah.
That's super nice.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and then the hope is to have them like at least 1 or 2 days, a month here for all of, at least K5. That is our next hope.
Yeah, let's lure them in. And I would also encourage that for the middle school as well, right? Because we want to encourage the middle school.
Yes, but
Schools come on
I
Friday.
mean, we do have, like, they have a create, so they do have an enrichment already that's going there, so I think that could be something we move towards, yes. So.
Marie had something.
Yeah, support staff. Do you need support staff? How are things going for you all?
I mean, we wrote in for three artists to support each other. And what we found in WIPSIS is that it's a really nice opportunity for teachers to not be in the space and that three can manage. But I think it just depends on the student numbers and maybe their needs.
And we will have supports. We'll have our classified support staff there, so there'll probably be one or two of them coming.
That's awesome.
That's super helpful, especially if there's any special needs in the group. That is particularly helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Help with lunches, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. Okay.
Thanks.
Any other questions from anyone?
I'll put out there too that we have fun.
Go ahead, Julia. Sorry.
Oh,
We're
that's
just
okay.
getting excited over here.
Yeah. We have a really lovely and growing credit to the board members that have cultivated this community, growing community of parents and community members and grandparents that volunteer in our school. And I think that Fridays may also become an opportunity for incorporating some of those folks too, if there's a need. And that's something that we could put out there in the community, if that would be helpful and supportive, and not to take away from the other 4 days where we have fabulous volunteers that help with reading or lunch or all kinds of things, field trips, but just thinking that there may be some people that are particularly drawn to helping with the arts, and that this might be a cool way to lure in some of our community folks.
We love that. The more the merrier.
Great. I see our teachers who are here to present to us, and they look tired because it's been a long day. Excited but tired. So I'm gonna suggest we move on after Tiff has a question or comment.
One more, just because thinking that big and in our hopes that all the kids would want to come. So say we do the registration for, say, the second trimester, or maybe it's the first, but anyway, and that, words got out and we have 120 kids or 150, because we're looking at almost 200 kids for next year. Are you guys able to handle that and like scale up to that? And is that doable?
I love that question because I feel like we were just having our last meeting, the last two conversations I've had with other leadership at Arts and Ed. It's been around like, how are we supporting and bringing in emerging teaching artists and getting them in mentorship roles? Because we're going to need more staff if we continue to have more programs that are more consistent and sustainable. But at the heart of our mission is to create sustainable arts education and job opportunities for teaching artists. So I'm working on that, like actively daily saying, well, where are we reaching people? And we have some pretty good ideas. Industrial Street Studios in Hood River is unearthing a lot of new young teaching artists, or not teaching artists yet, but artists who are having a practice, and then looking at educators. And then if you have people ideally in the community who are interested, who are artists or educators, or have a combination of both, but want to mentor, we have opportunities even outside of the Fridays in Mosier that they could do a core residency in Hood River or the Dalles or Cascade Locks, or come to WIPSIS room 111 and be one of the three and get paid for that time to staff up, because we're a small but mighty organization, but we need more might. So bring them on.
Bring them on. I've already got some ideas. Yeah.
Good.
Great. Okay. Does anybody have any more questions on the budget part? I have a question. Has this number been pulled into the draft budget we've been looking at?
Yes, I shared it with Veronica. I don't know that, so the hope is to use our SIA funds. So what we're gonna do is just move some SIA money around, and then we're probably trying to apply for a couple of grants to help us out as well. But I talked to Veronica about it, and she's like, this is doable. So
Okay. Okay.
it might be that we, and this is not a bad thing, that we don't spend our money on Chromebooks.
Yeah. Great.
So
That's a
there you go.
wonderful idea. Okay.
Like there's $8,000 right there.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Any other questions before we entertain a motion? I would entertain a motion.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I move that we approve the budget for a fifth for the arts for Mosier school year 26-27.
It's straight, yeah.
Any second from McKenna? All those in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Yay, motion passes. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness, this is so exciting, and we cannot wait to partner with you gals and everybody else. And really nice to see you, Jordan. I'm excited to work with you again.
Thank you both.
Likewise.
And good
I'm
luck.
excited. New
Thank you.
capacities.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so
Yay.
much.
Thank you for
Thank
being here with
you.
us. More
Bye.
soon, more to
Bye-bye.
come. Cool. Okay. I also would like to suggest that maybe we let you gals go next, like table the rest of that.
Oh, I was,
Yeah.
yeah.
Does that work
I'm-
okay?
Do I need to officially? I don't make them.
Robert.
I move that,
Robert's rules.
I move that we board items 14A and 14C to follow number 7 MTA report in the agenda.
Great.
Second.
Second? My second? Julia second? All those in favor?
Who's second?
Thank
Who
you.
made the-
Julia second.
Okay,
Tiffany, then Julia,
okay.
then everybody, including you? Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thank you for waiting.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm gonna turn this around and I can see you, kind of.
Alright.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we have K1. The end of the year is approaching and we feel it is it as well as the children. We are learning about insects. The students are loving our data unit in math right now. Second and third grades in reading and writing, we are learning about the rainforest. The students are researching and writing reports on what they have learned, and they are very engaged. If you get a chance, the Mosier Community School website posted some photos of Mrs. Holmes's class,
Fun.
kind of doing that research right now. So, I mean, you could see how engaged they are. It's pretty cool. So we're exploring websites such as Epic, National Geographic for Kids, Ducksters, Encyclopedia for Kids, along with watching videos and reading books as a class. In math, second grade is learning about shapes, angles, and vertices. Third grade is right on their shirt tails. We just finished area and perimeter, going into geometry with shapes and lines and angles. Next week on Tuesday, we are going on a birding expedition.
Yay.
And
Jack of all
Julia's
trades.
dad, from what I hear, so that's exciting.
Real birding pro.
We're encouraging kids to bring binoculars if they can, giving that extra bit of insight. In science, we're learning about the cycles of different life cycles of different animals and how particular some of them are into the rainforest. So we're tying our science into the reading and writing and research project. So we're having fun with that. Butterflies are all in the chrysalis stages right now. We just did some transfers this afternoon. Oops. Yeah, oh yes, I would see it. And kids will learn that not all things will make it because some of mine have just dropped, and when the chrysalises drop, they don't survive. But well, we learn. So
Circle of life.
and we've got plants that are also growing, and we're looking at those. Those aren't as fun though as butterflies. And the preschool will be coming in when we do our release. They'll join us for our release of the butterflies, and they're painted ladies, so they're from this area.
Nice.
Kind of fun.
Okay, so literacy, we're knee deep in Dibbles testing. Excited to see that progress, always, that's fun, once I get it all in there and we get to pull up reports. ELD and literacy, we're gearing up for literacy night that happens in here on portfolio night. And so we, after Dibbles testing, we pull them in and they get to pick some summer books and they get to compile all their learning and take some of that home and share some of that. And then we'll have some crafts and celebration time in the library on portfolio night. Just a lot of fun. So music, greetings from the music room. We're embracing the final few weeks of the year. While it may feel hectic at times, the overall energy and participation is still very encouraging as students are sharing their excitement for music every day. Kids are excited to put together all the pieces of their musical puzzles we've been working on this year, singing, playing, and creating together. Thank you for all your support and dedication this year, Mr. Strands. Fourth and fifth grade. So last Friday was their last secrets.
I think I wrote that correctly. And they had a field trip with them. They have field trips coming up. They will go on a stern wheeler trip and visit Mitchell Point. So it's kind of, they've been studying the gorge and how that was all formed.
Cool.
And so they will go and look and see what that all looks like, probably with a different perspective after all their learning. The Miss Goodman's class is wrapping up her book report session. We already had Miss Bendiger in the library, so So Miss Goodman's class will be coming in and setting those up, and so the school will get to come through and kind of look at all of what they created from their books.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. It was very lively a week and a half ago when your class was in, yes.
And then middle school is excited to have their science teacher back, and that's was very well received. So we're all excited. Projects, they're doing a book project right now based on some books that they're reading. And they have a field trip coming up on Tuesday to Horse Thief Butte, and they need volunteers.
This Thursday?
Tuesday.
Tuesday. Next Tuesday.
Yes, they are in
Because we don't have school on Monday.
desperate need of volunteers. So says Miss Savannah Rowe.
Is that all day, their trip out?
Sure.
Yeah.
So if you're not busy on Tuesday,
Burden Day too.
Yeah.
they're gonna go rock climbing? Fun.
Oh, I'm a rock climber. That's cool. I do too.
That sounds way fun.
I'm gonna volunteer my husband.
Yeah.
Was that Marie? I was just thinking, I don't know what Andrew's doing Tuesday, but I can give him a nudge too.
Yeah, let's nudge some folks,
Or
some rock
go,
climbers.
maybe at the climbing gym.
Yeah, fun. Okay,
Yeah.
questions? Yeah,
So many great things happening.
yeah,
Yes,
that sounds like a lot of fun.
Thanks.
Sounds like a fun end of the year, yeah, busy and fun. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to express my gratitude to the teachers because it's extra to organize those field trips and run them, and but it gives the kids so much. I've been able to participate in the flower walk and in the Tamanoas Falls Secrets activity, and was just super impressed by just the diversity of opportunities we're giving the kids.
Good. That is great. That's great to hear.
It's her aunt. She donated.
She donated, yeah.
For free.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's right. And
That's
that
great.
is a big, yeah, we need to write a thank you.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm on it. All.
Please.
That's a big thing, taking classes on the stern wheeler. I went once with Mary Roots when she did middle school, and it was quite the.
We took our whole
So
school
fun.
on theirs.
Wow.
Yeah, it's lovely. They have stations when you're on it. They
Beautiful
have
views,
stations
too.
and they have different things that you're doing. So you're not just standing there. So it's great.
We got a question or comment?
Yeah, I have a question for the teachers, and I know only two of you, but for next year, because I know, doing some of the reports in the past, 190 students has felt full, and next year we're expecting 206. And I wonder, do you feel like you need more support staff, or how are the teachers feeling about that?
More
Okay.
Yes. Volunteers and however, yeah.
I would love to see more volunteers in. I think that COVID kind of ruined our volunteers, and it's surprising that we don't have this. Yeah, like we have the smart reading, we have getting parents to come in and like be at lunch or help with reading. That would be like, I think that should be a goal for us.
Consistency too.
Yeah,
with
yeah,
those
like, I'm
volunteers
signed
that
up for
are-
every Tuesday.
Yep, and
Yeah.
then that teacher can always tell them, yeah, this is that parent's gonna do, or whatever.
Yeah, that is one of the unfortunate realities with volunteering, is the consistency and the can be challenging. So I was just.
Oh, and I think
we're gonna maybe participate with the early school success team again, and their goal is, their whole focus is parent involvement
Okay,
and,
so there's a great opportunity.
there's a great opportunity for teachers to partner with them to
Yeah.
see what we could do to make that better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great. We also just had a little like mini conversation before, a couple of us before the meeting today, and there was a suggestion to have a conversation with teachers, staff, Michelle, some board members on how to make sure that everybody that we've identified the support needs for next year. And then also to brainstorm options, whether it's really building out our volunteer program more, looking if we need more TAs, like, taking a deep dive on the class numbers.
Right,
all
and
that.
one of the things that I picked up on is that in some other school districts, some of the reaching out can happen, especially with kids with special education needs, reaching out before the school year begins, and yeah, that sounds identifying what would be most helpful to everyone before the school year begins.
Yeah.
Seems like it would really help everybody transition.
So,
Okay.
yeah, no, I think that that's absolutely
I
a
think it's
great
great you
idea.
all, yeah.
Yeah.
But-
And so I wonder, is that a conversation that we need to set up before this school year ends in order to have it before the beginning of next year? Or is summertime, like, what's our time frame? If we're going to have a kind of round table involving multiple people, what would our time frame be?
I think, yes, we commit to that. My worry right now is teachers might be overwhelmed. And sometimes I think like taking a break and coming back, then they're more willing to, I don't know. I mean, personally, like I'd be more willing to like come, and do something later. Cause we also talked about doing it in the morning because we'll have some morning time, and that way it will be better for the board members. So if they have the job that they need to go to, that they can do before that. So,
Okay,
I mean,
so
I think
maybe
it's
we,
something we could talk about. So we have a PLC tomorrow,
okay,
and so we could talk about that.
Get a feel on.
yeah,
Huh?
Get a feel on what other
Yeah.
teachers feel about that.
that's awesome. Yeah. And then let us know, because we'll show up.
It would be great to maybe have that reported back in June during the MTA report. I don't know. It would just be, because I don't know if I'll be a part of that, but I would like to know, just as someone who knows a lot of volunteers, I could start getting the word out. So.
Okay, we'll keep it on. Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for staying. late.
Yeah,
Thanks, ladies.
you're free.
I see you.
At least you're like a butterfly.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, thank you.
We should, hey, Lisa, okay.
Oh.
The MTA contract, do we want that?
Oh, yeah, yes.
Oops, so we should have moved forward. It's okay.
This is just a messy. You know what? Let's just like not worry too much about Robert and his rules
Okay.
today. Like, let's just go
Okay.
through our agenda. Our bylaws just, you know what? Our bylaws say that we make a best effort to
they do. I have them right here.
to follow Robert's rules.
All right.
So this is like Robert with a little R right now.
So we'll go over number 8.
So we're gonna.
Let's just make sure we cover it all. That's our goal.
Yes.
Let's just make sure we cover it all.
Table, we didn't do that yet, so we do have to come back to the.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make,
We could just make a quick motion to put.
Oh, yeah, that's still, and we didn't approve number 4, the May, we only approved April.
sorry, gals.
Sorry.
We released you too soon, our sweet butterflies. We need to talk MTA contracts, like,
Yeah. So there's what I printed out is kind of our working document. It has our current language and it has all of the back and forth, which is a lot of red and blue and strikeout. And then we met today and we all agreed on a clean contract, so you can see it. And so I'll pass This, so this is for the 4-day week, and so we updated, yeah, there you go. Anything else?
And then our ladies online,
Thank you.
maybe we can,
I could
once we get going,
Yeah.
or you can share, yeah, that's great, share screen.
Let's see.
We've got,
We're good this
we're
way.
good this way.
Yeah, I mean, I could just go we could just go over the highlights of it.
Okay.
So, you know, because the days are longer, and so the main things that we have changed. And we work together to come up with that. Now you want one?
Reference it, fresh in my mind.
Was, you know, this is all about the work year and the work day. So our work year has changed because we've gone from 190. Right, it was
Yes.
the previous one to 170. And that's due to we're having longer days and all of that. And so it just kind of spells those things out. What they're gonna be, the days will be 9-hour days for the teachers, so they'll either work 7:30 to 4:30 or 7:15 to 4:15. And so we just spelled out that also means that we'll front load their sick time. And their personal days will be at 9 hours. So, but if they take a sick day, that's 9 hours as well. But Shannon's on top of all of that. We also said like the 7:30 to 4:30 or if you choose 7:30 to 4:30, but you need to leave early one day, you can come at 7:15. Like that's usually not an issue with us right now. We did change our required staff meetings. Currently it's 1 hour the first Wednesday and 1 hour for PLC. Because we're moving them from the afternoon to the morning, because that's when the majority of our time will be together. And I think the teachers brought this up as splitting up. Instead of doing a whole hour, could we do like a half an hour on one day and a half an hour? So we could have we have the option of either having 1 whole hour meeting or 2 half-hour meetings.
Yeah.
We'll just figure that out.
I love it.
But the PLC will still be 1 hour because you need a full hour to do a PLC.
Okay.
Let's see, what else that we're not gonna exceed, and we came up with real good language for that. And then the prep time is the other major thing that changed, because currently it's 30 minutes before school, 30 minutes after school, 30 minutes during school. So now it's going to be, they have time 75 minutes total before after school, not 75 minutes before and after school. And then everybody has a 45-minute prep during the school day, which that's where we use our PE and our music, and probably will now even throw some SEL in there. We'll do make sure everybody gets that it's uninterrupted. That's their time. And that is also the same for middle school. And I think that's is there anything big that I'm missing? We really tried to match to make sure prep time stayed as close to possible, and I think it might have gone up just a tad, but it's nice and consistent. It also gives it so that the teachers, so currently Lisa and Mary Ellen have had to not be the ones that have prep time together. And so next year, all the teams will have prep time at the same time. So all of them, except for middle school. It's impossible. It's too impossible to do middle school. So
To have all 3 of them together.
yeah. It just doesn't work that way. Anyway, so our hope is that this, so we will need I think what we could do is let people look at it and then come back in June and just approve it at that point. So that way everybody can kind of get comfortable with
Yeah.
it. So
Like, I looked through it a little bit before, it looks good.
yeah, and then we also kept the 5-day, the current language, we just kept it in and we just moved it to the bottom. And so if for some reason we went back to a 5-day week, we don't have to open up the contract because it's already there.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So, is this language that you're presenting, and maybe you already said this, I'm sorry. Is this language that you're presenting already been through like the whole MTA? Everybody thinks that this looks good.
We're all good with it. So we
Everybody.
just need you guys to be good with it.
It's a
So,
consensus recommendation.
yes.
Awesome. Thoughts, questions? Julia McKenna, anything from you?
I was able to be part of the negotiation committee, so I'm familiar with the language and I would be comfortable approving it tonight unless folks want more time on the board to look at it.
Mhm.
Sounds good to me.
Are there any, like budget implications?
No, because I mean, we're really just keeping the prep time all the same. Like, I don't see any impact on the budget.
Uh-huh.
We worked around like, and this seems to be an ongoing issue, is making sure like IEPs and 504s are scheduled as best as we can, that doesn't interrupt prep time or after school time. Most of them will probably be in the morning now, which kind of helps North Wasco out a little bit because they have a big demand for after school for parents. But we've also talked about kind of, because we know when they're all up is actually like, how can we schedule these better? And if it does, and I'm certainly on board with getting a sub 4 day and just pulling people out during that time and just kind of knocking out some of the IEP meetings. We have to also like we are dependent on North Wasco because their team has their schedule. We're dependent on parents, making sure that we can make it so that they can attend. Obviously, they have to attend the IEP, and then making sure that the teachers have an opportunity. So, because we're kind of keep working on that process to make it more like sustainable for everybody. So sometimes there's a flurry in the beginning of the year, and it seems like there's a flurry at the end of the year. And if we could maybe spread that out, it just seems like we could spread that out.
A little bit of planning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Are there, Marie Tiff, do you gals have any questions?
No, I sat in on like the first one, so it's, but I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Would you?
No, and I.
Would you gals like more time to digest, or do you feel like we're ready to move on this one?
I think I'm okay. I'm happy to wait too.
Yeah. I'm in that same boat. Should we do it next time?
I guess it's just a matter of how we want to operate moving forward with contracts. Do we want to approve contracts? I'm fine approving this one. It's just precedent for the future, if, and I won't be saying a word, but,
Yeah.
how do we want to operate if, we have to think if contracts are presented, during a board meeting and no one's had eyes on it. I mean, do folks feel comfortable if we make this?
Yeah.
Do we make exception or I don't know. I guess
Yeah,
just
one of the
make
things
a-
we've been talking about is slowing down.
Yeah.
So let's use this. That's what we're
I
talking.
feel
Yeah.
100% comfortable. I'm just
Yeah.
I am concerned about
Well, we need to make a new.
does it have a negative impact on the teacher, or what's the I guess what's the
So the
drawback?
teachers have already, like, they've already, like, and just to be clear, like, there was a committee that had board members.
Oh,
on
yeah,
it,
yeah, I know.
And there was a committee, and we met, and then they took everything to the teachers, and so and so I bring it here, and I don't expect, like, it can wait till June.
Yeah.
If you feel comfortable with that, like, that was I kind of thought it could wait till June.
There's no
Okay.
setback.
Let's
of
do
putting
that
it
then.
till June.
Let's
agree.
So because we want to slow things down and we
Yeah.
need to walk our talk with that, let's give everybody full support, I think, from the
this-
board on
no
this, and really
question of
appreciate
support,
the committee's work and that you already have taken this to MTA. Let's let us digest it all the way, and then we'll approve it next
And
month.
I mean, we have other board members. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just
Okay, let's do that then. I think that's a good plan. Thank you. I think now.
Well, we have one, one more.
Just
Oh.
wait.
And this one does have to be approved tonight.
It does.
Sorry.
Oh,
It is a memorandum of understanding. So we continually find little skeletons in our closets, and we found a skeleton, and it was somebody who had been a staff member, a teacher, who had been promised that they could move up an extra step when they were hired, which is not really what we could hope for, because they are in a union and that's not really common practice. And we've been in talks with this person and went through like years of service and blah, blah, and they kept saying, no, I was promised this. We couldn't find anything in the file for that. And then recently the staff member came up with and here is a letter, and it was from Janet Carter. And it definitely did bump them up one step. And so our concern was like, we don't want this to be a precedent, like, and to set that. So we need to, and that's not going to be a practice anymore.
It's just.
And, and that, but what will happen is we had to go back, and Veronica and Shannon and I went back and looked at what she was underpaid if that contract would have been, if that letter, it really wasn't a contract, if that letter would have been followed. And so, from last year and then part of this year, the difference is about $4,617 that would be owed to the staff member. The MOU has like where the person is at. We've all agreed that this is where we're going to stick. My biggest worry is we did run it through the MTA, did also run it through Christine Maley, is that from OEA? Because the worry is, if I'm a staff member that has the same amount of years of service as this particular person, they're actually up with things. So that's where you kind of like, it's a tricky thing. And we had a lot of discussion about it, but the fact that there was a letter that they had that was a promise from a previous ED, that we felt okay with it. So, and it just says future placement practices, like we will follow this is not following the contract. So, but we will follow the contract. And we wanted to make sure that, that we're not gonna do any grievance with it. And there's no admission of error or obligation to it. And, we're just kind of gonna move on with that. So go ahead.
So is this current employee on the correct step right now?
Yeah.
Then they're not on one up for the years that they should be? Or are we just making it right for the fact thing? Or do we now have to move forward with this employee,
So this employee will have to be moved up. So
and be off par with someone else?
that's correct. And then this covers the 4617 does cover the back, the previous of what this person would be at if the letter had been followed in the beginning. So that's what the $4,600 is. And then ongoing, so the May paycheck would reflect the step that that step would be. Correct. Yes, that's correct.
I just want a minute before I would vote. I want to like read that without trying to listen to somebody else.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
I wrote a MOU, so.
I know, and I felt like it's important for them to be here because this is unusual. We truly believe this could possibly be the last skeleton, but who knows? Like there were just some different deals that were made prior to we were here, and like people were placed, oh, you want to make more money? Here, I'll just put you up a couple of steps. Like that is not a common practice within that contract. There's a reason for that, because a union means that we're all following the same rules and things. That could be I think that's one of the things that we're going to have to also relay as we're busy with the classified contract, because there's probably 3 people that have been placed on different steps, and they don't have that experience. So, but we're just gonna kind of live with that, acknowledge it, and move forward. So, yeah.
Marie?
Yes.
Yeah, so I believe we have had revisited this since you've been here. And I wonder when was this brought to your attention? Were they looking for the letter the whole time, or did this just come up recently in negotiations? I guess I'm just wondering.
I would say so she was actually on the wrong pay scale last year. And so we went through all of her records and popped her up last year. on one, and that's where that, in which we have to get those out. That's where we get the, here's where you're at, here's your
Mhm.
pay, here's your,
Right, because I
your
remember,
thing.
yeah, that was a
New
big,
process. We don't-
that was a big.
Okay, good.
touch.
Because that was supposed to be on May
Yeah, good
15th,
job.
so that was on us. Anyway.
Oh, no. They got sent out in June last year.
But in the contract.
Okay.
15th.
They're right.
Anyway, okay, anyway, so we sit down and we like, everybody looks at it, they're supposed to look it over and sign it. Now, I do wanna say, like, there is a contract that she did sign with the other step on it, and she did sign that, but she's always said, this isn't right, this isn't right, so,
Okay,
and so we've just
okay.
been, but we
That's
couldn't
fine.
do anything because we did not have that, we didn't have that letter, so.
I
and
just
so-
want to clarify, because I think I might have misheard
Yeah.
this. So is it that the person was promised a step above what their experience
They
is?
were,
Yes.
and they signed. It was signed by her and the executive director.
But since that time, that person has signed contracts agreeing to the
I don't
wage
have
on the
the-
correct step.
That
Yes
is
or no?
correct, but also with, hey, like, also, like,
Voicing.
we looked through it last year and actually did move her up one step. Because there was a mistake when she went from 1 year to the next before we got here. And so we've kind of just gone through and with a fine tooth comb and made sure that this is like Veronica. We had a whole meeting.
We sure did.
Where like Shannon had what she thought, Veronica had what she thought. We talked it all through and then everybody agreed to what it
So
should be.
is there a reason why we wouldn't keep the person on the appropriate step based on their on their experience and just pay them this $4,600 to like make up for the whoopsie?
Because according to the letter and the agreement that they had signed, they would be on the next step as of now. So
So you're saying just hold them on their steps so they would get, so.
The proper step.
Yeah.
Where they should be based on experience and.
Like I
think
guess
that-
like making it,
Right.
my suggestion is like make it right in the sense that, yes, an agreement was signed that said that they, deserved this additional money. But so give them that money to make that right, but also keep our process the same for everyone, which is if you have, you are on the step that you should be on based on your experience.
And doesn't.
Does that not make
Go
sense?
ahead, Juliet.
Can I jump in here?
Yeah.
So I was part of these discussions and my initial reaction, I think, was similar to what we're all having, this reaction of people should just be where they're fairly placed. But I do think having a contract where you were offered higher at a certain step doesn't include that then you will not advance in steps, right? There's no language about that. So we would be importing terms into the contract if we now said we're going to hold you and essentially punish you for a mistake, like a mistake at higher. And this has been a way of getting people pay that is competitive, has been sort of bypassing the step system. And I want to make a larger case, which I think you're aware of, Emily, and I've raised with some other folks, just that particularly for our classified staff, but that we should be looking at making sure that we are at the right steps. So we're not finding ourselves in a position where in order to hire someone, we're bumping them up a couple steps to be at what is an appropriate salary. And so, we have a agreement with the teachers and a union agreement, and we're not doing that in that context, but we are going to be very soon locked into the classified steps. And this may not be the right moment to raise it, but I would like at some point to be looking at that step system and whether or not we think it's right before we lock it in. So what I would say here, Emily, on your question about whether or not we can just hold that person, I would argue if I was in this person's shoes that, okay, you hired at me at step X, but you didn't hire me also with the understanding I wouldn't advance in the normal annual way. And so that is written into that contract. And what I will say that gives me some comfort is, one, the MTA supports this, and two, it's really a pretty modest annual adjustment. So being off a step, big picture, is not a lot of money. And making this right, even over a period of multiple years, is a relatively modest sum. So it's not, this isn't like a huge windfall. for this person, that they were hired arguably one step higher than they should have been.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I do not want to be unfair, and that's part of it. Like, I think consistency, and we've been trying to, we've been trying to figure out where, where the skeletons are and clean them up, and I'm not opposed to, to this sum of money or the agreement if everybody's like agreed to it. And I also just want to be clean and consistent and here's the other letter.
There's
It's not
a
a,
lot of, like what we're trying to also clean up is people with, their, oh, yes, yeah, I'm sorry. There's also a lot of issues with, credits, college credits, and like, that nothing's documented on a lot of it, so that's another thing, like, we're asking for, and can you show us those credits, like, give us your transcripts, so there's a lot of that has like just been
We're still
like
just catching
neglected.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so we're really are trying to kind of clean.
So I'm going
So-
through everybody's with
Yeah.
fine tooth comb, but this is, yeah, this is just one of those things, and the employee should not have to be punished for whatever has happened, and
This
it is what it
personal
is.
one's, this person's probably also gonna go over a column here real quick, so.
And this is an agreement for everybody into the future, or just this?
No,
one?
this is just, this is this one, MOU is just where, this is for this one person,
Okay.
this is this one time, it's not setting a precedent, we're
Yeah.
not gonna.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just saying,
Shouldn't they be named on here then?
Well-
we chose not to.
Then how are we going to keep track of that?
Well, we'll probably put that in their personnel file, so, yeah, we just didn't wanna.
Have that out
They wanna
into
probably-
the world,
Yeah.
right? As
Okay.
the
so
privacy.
I just have one question, because I
If you
just
have
want
questions about who it is.
no, not about who it
Okay.
is. I do not need to know who it is.
Actually, it does.
It wouldn't change
No,
the
I
minutes
took,
in
I
the-
took it off my, okay,
Okay.
her name is on.
Marie.
it, so.
Yeah, I don't need to know what it is, and I'm glad to hear that, it sounds like MTA staff, everybody feels good about this. Great. My question, my mind is just going back in time a little bit and wondering if this would have been a contract that would have been budgeted and approved by a board or not. And does that have any? Does that play into anything in just moving forward, when do we say from here on out?
Mhm.
We look at steps, we.
That's pretty
we
much
have
what
cr-
this MOU says.
For this
For
person.
every,
For one
well, this
person.
No,
person,
but this says it as precedence from now on.
for
Okay.
all
Okay.
staff,
Okay.
okay,
Correct.
okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So
Well,
this is
I think Marie is raising a good point just about kind of what we would term like statute of limitations. Like, how long do staff have to go to find a skeleton in the closet from prior administration and ask for a correction, right? And so I don't have a great answer for that. And I think there is an argument to be said that like, like this is coming really late. Like, we've been paying you for a number of years. It took a long time to unearth this letter and deal. I don't have a great answer for it, but I think it's something to think about if people do come forward and say, I think I need an adjustment from 2 years ago. And what I will say to this person's credit is that this is something they've raised consistently. It was raised each time salary was talked about, that they were at a particular step and not being adequately compensated. So I think that did preserve it for this person, but I also would say at some point, the past is the past, and if you haven't raised it in a year's budget cycle, that we would have a good argument to say, hey, like, we have to be able to budget and we can't go back years and years in time. So it is
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Goodness gracious. What else? Any other questions?
I think there might be a law that was put into place recently on that payment and where there's some discrepancies with pay. And I think I'd have to look into, I think it's a year. I
Okay.
can give a year's time to like
File grievance
file
or.
and go back, and then after that, you cannot file on that.
Okay, so let's look into that. And then it also seems like we should have policy reflect.
Yeah, we need a
Yes.
policy, or we should,
We need we need to have a policy meeting soon so we can.
which we are gonna have anyways.
Yeah.
So this would be a good thing to,
Okay, thank you for,
thank you.
we'll look into that. You need a decision on this one tonight.
Well, I mean, we can, I mean, she's waited this long, I guess she can wait. There's a little sun coming down. I have a new board member right
Yeah.
there. We could, you know, if you want to look at it a little bit more.
It, like Michelle said, it was looked at by both of us. It was looked at by Christine, you know, the ODE gal, and maybe the lawyers on, ODA, sorry.
That's correct.
On that side, and then also the employee as well, and all was looked good and agreed upon.
Right.
So from our standpoint, it's like,
Done.
okay,
Yeah.
we're good with it.
The one that I do have does have the person's name on it, and we can, this would be the one we want to
Yes,
sign and
correct.
put in their file.
Yes.
So,
I'm
Okay,
fine
that's-
with that language. The biggest concern was just kind of what we've already been over, just that this employee is a step
Yeah.
ahead of where they should be compared to maybe a colleague who's on that same level of, but I guess there's nothing we can do about it now.
We
Just
did
the
speak-
fairness
we
of
did
the, or
speak
the,
to
you know,
that, and we
yeah.
felt that because this was something that was done prior to anything that was happening now, that it's kind of out of our hands too, and we don't feel it's unfair, it's just, that's just the way it happened. and-
Yeah.
Yeah, wasn't our
But it's, you know,
decision.
Yeah.
And it's not a big, it wasn't a big.
Right,
Okay.
right, but she was hired at a specific,
Mhm.
and that's what she agreed to come on as, at
Yeah.
what she was promised in that
Yeah,
letter.
that
And
makes,
then I appreciated the wording on the MOU that said, hey, this is not, we don't get to use this as an example.
No,
of
this
changing
is,
our lives.
yeah,
This
this is,
one and done
Yeah.
odd situation
Yeah,
with a
that's
letter
why I-
to prove it.
okay.
I like
And
this.
McKenna came on
Yeah.
screen. Did you want to?
Oh, yeah. I just was gonna say I'm comfortable in voting for that today.
Okay,
And I think the other thing is like, we've had two recent hires, and we just make sure like we've looked at what their experience is. Now, one of them didn't have any experience, so that was easy. You know, just like we make sure that we verify experience with whatever school district they're at. We verify if they're bringing over his sick time. We also verify we actually can't just take their word for, I have 13 credits. Like, we actually have to see their
Yes,
credits.
yeah,
Absolutely.
great.
Yeah,
So we've
there's
got,
a lot of
making
things
notes of
that
all
are
of
not
that,
in the
so.
file, so.
okay.
Good.
Good job.
Any other questions or concerns?
I mean, is this something that is gonna negatively impact anyone if it gets voted on with the teacher's contract, or what is?
I didn't hear this question.
If we don't vote on this tonight, will it negatively impact something?
Yeah, why are you saying we need to?
Because
do it tonight?
running for the payroll.
Yeah.
Oh,
I see, I see,
With
okay.
the person, just.
Before the end of the month.
I could text the person and say, can you, I mean, they've waited this long, could they wait one more month? Probably. but
It
would
just
they
makes
like
the
to?
back
Probably.
pay go up more.
Mm,
Right?
Okay.
Oh,
So it
from
make-
what we've.
So
Yeah.
there is a,
Do you
there
need
is a,
this back too?
Yeah.
drawback to not voting.
Correct.
Okay.
I'll
Okay.
point out too that this person is not asking for interest on what they were not paid. I mean, I actually think this is sort of you know, they had a contract to be paid at a certain level.
Yeah.
And I also think
we're all on
risk of-
board. Sorry,
Yeah.
go ahead, Julia.
I was just gonna say also, I appreciate the effort to slow things down, and I think it has to be balanced with snowballing our meetings where we then like reopen things. So prioritizing a little bit about just like, is this one that we want the full board to consider? We have a couple people missing today. Or is this one that we feel like was, because it has appropriate support from MTA and board was involved and attorneys looked at it, like we're comfortable with? And I think just figuring out the balance of like, this is a really big deal decision and we need time to process, or this is like a pretty modest one that's had a lot of review already.
Yeah, and I think that if we were provided this ahead of time too, it would have been easier to just move forward. I know I saw it personally, but I think I was the only one other than maybe Julia. Go ahead, Tiff.
Oh, yeah, I knew of the issue, but anyway, I appreciate that, Julia, but I would also just move that we approve the MOU as shown
today.
Okay, all second, or wait, would anybody like to second? McKenna, all those in
McKenna.
favor?
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah,
motion passes.
sure.
Thank you.
And I think we'll have Veronica do a DocuSign on this, because I have to have Christine Bailey's signature on this too. So we'll just
Yeah.
send it around for a DocuSign.
Okay,
I can do that as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Good.
okay.
So you'll get a DocuSign.
Goodbye, girls.
Okay, thank you so much.
Get out of here quick before something else comes up.
Janet, run.
Cool. Okay.
Thank you so much, board.
You
are always.
Thank you.
Okay, I have no idea where we are right now. Here we are.
Did we lose?
Are we
Brent?
going-
Did he-
I told Brent that I would text him. when he
Yeah,
to come back
totally.
on, and
I know, I was sitting there feeling really bad for
Yeah.
him, like this.
So he was getting some work done,
Board
but
election.
yeah, thank you. So board election results,
And I have
happy,
the charter, if you want me to read it about resignation.
I think we looked at it. Yeah,
Okay,
thank
good.
you.
Thank you, though.
Yes, thank you very much. Okay, board election results. I am very happy to share that we have two new wonderful board members coming on. They'll be seated at the end of June. The people have voted for two positions. Two positions. We had two candidates, and Jess McGinsey and Sherry Dorse will be joining us at the end of June to be on the Mosier Community School Board. I'm not quite as happy to announce that we have also had a board member resign. So Avelia put in her resignation today, effective immediately. And so we will be working moving forward to appoint a new board member. Avelia's term is up. I think she's on the same schedule as me. I think her term is 28. We're gonna double check that real quick. Thank you.
So Sherry Doris and Jess McGinsey's terms will run until June of 2029.
Yeah, thank you.
And I believe
I'm sure Avelia's on 28.
is on 28 because she just got voted.
Yeah.
It was this last year,
Yeah.
so it's 2028.
So, community members, if there's anybody listening, if you have been interested in joining the board, but didn't necessarily want to commit 3 years of your time, we would welcome anybody who wants to commit 2 years. Not even 2 whole years, a year and a half, really. Oh, no, 2 years, 2 years. Which is the way that I joined the board, and I'll say it was so much fun that I stuck around. So
Thanks for.
so yeah, I guess we'll just kind of need to put the feelers out there and see if we can find somebody that the board agrees and everybody agrees would be a great appointment and they're willing. And then I think it said that we should try to do that within a month. But if we don't find somebody within a month, we can.
The bylaws say that it's a board vote during a regular meeting, so it could be in June or it can be at any other subsequent regular meeting.
So an action item for us all.
Yeah, and being that Avelia is the treasurer, looking for somebody for that role, or would we want to?
Well, we're fortunate and we're going to do our best to sweet talk Sherry to be the treasurer because she has a background in accounting.
Yes.
The board.
Wise, very wise.
Yeah, so that works out okay, I hope. Well, we'll keep our fingers. We have not talked to Sherry about this yet.
The officer positions are decided end of the June
Next month.
So the timing is.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so we would be looking for a treasurer and a secretary. Okay. I've already asked Marie to think about it. But she said she needs more time.
To be the secretary?
No, to stick around, to let us appoint her.
Well,
It depends in if, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
5 years for so many great
Okay,
people.
so we had we already did the update on the MTA contract. We looked at that. We're gonna look at it, or we're gonna finalize it next week or next month. We have not yet had an update on the classified staff contract negotiations.
So we are continuing on. I would say our last one was a lot. The first one that we met, because we read from 2:30 to 5:30 a couple of weeks ago. That was long.
Yeah.
And not a lot, it was accomplished, and luckily, Camila, our Osiri, our attorney from Hungerford, She's very skilled in this area, and so she's like how to make us move along, and then Matt kind of got on board, and it seems to go up. We got more, like, we would send them what we wanted, and they'd send us what, and then we would be working on those things, and so we were accomplishing
We have TA'd a
a
lot.
lot
which is
more.
good.
Yeah, yeah, so we've got still a lot to go. We're hoping to do a couple full day ones once we're out of school, is just try to do like a 6-hour session, so we can kind of knock it off a little bit more and make it less, and so people are not doing this during their summer break.
Are you doing a shuttle negotiation? Like you're not in the same space at the same time?
Well, we start here,
Mhm.
and then we went in there, and then they went to the preschool, and we exchanged information. And then, yes, and then they go away and we go away, and then they tell us when they're ready, and
Then we come back and then we
Yeah.
talk about,
yeah, yeah.
it was super productive last week.
Yeah, it was
It
very
really was.
productive, yeah,
Good.
like, we got a lot more. Of course,
Yeah.
I also want to say, we're also doing kind of the easy,
We are.
the low hanging fruit, like, oh, we can do that one.
How many meetings have you had?
Two.
Two, and you hope to have one or two more, right?
Oh, no, we're gonna probably.
Try to,
There's more.
okay.
It's like we're building from the ground up a contract, so.
Yeah.
And I know that you've been looking, you've also looked at other contracts. Is there a reason you're not just adopting?
Well, like
something else?
North Bosco, like neither one of them, like, because we're small, like,
Mhm.
so it doesn't really
Doesn't
apply
work.
to us, a lot of it. So we are using as much as we can. We're actually using a lot
all
of
of the
whatever,
Mhm.
the MTA contract.
Awesome.
Because they should be
Yeah,
very
as similar as possible.
And, mhm,
Mhm.
Okay, awesome. When is your
Yeah.
next meeting scheduled?
27th.
Awesome.
Sure.
Cool.
Tell me what I need.
Tell me what it be.
And,
Any question? Yeah, Tiff.
oh yeah, Julia and I had talked, and she brought this up, just, wages for that classified staff. Is that somewhere in our folder that we can see, or somewhere easy to see, like? To see what
Yes,
those-
we have the classified
me get
salary
that.
schedule, and we
Yeah,
can
and
certainly
I
put that in,
did
but I do
give it to
want to
Julia.
caution everybody, like, we need to be really careful about that, because that is part of the negotiation.
Mhm.
And so, that we'll talk about that during negotiation, so.
Okay. Well, just because we have to prove it,
Well,
right?
Eventually, yeah.
Eventually,
Yeah.
eventually.
But she's saying let the negotiation happen.
Let them
And then
come
they'll
with
bring it
their
back.
own,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
Because when we negotiate, and Camila she'll look
It's not
at
yet our decision.
the she'll look at the area, and what current pay is for everybody else, and making sure that we're in line with that.
Mhm.
Understanding that while our dollar amount might be less per hour, we also pay the 6%. So our salaries for the teachers and everything are actually 6% higher than.
Because we pay the
the
bills.
published
Yeah.
ones, yeah.
And we pay,
Okay.
for the health
Mhm.
insurance.
Okay, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
Okay.
nothing else on
Keep
that for
moving.
now. Okay,
Okay.
keep us moving. I
Okay.
did send Brent a message, but let's scooch back while we're waiting for Brent. Let's scooch back if you're all willing to the ED report and
Oh,
hear
to the
from.
review. Yes.
Well, and like we could hear from Sarah Grace if
Yes,
you
I'm
want.
gonna go really fast so we can hear from Sarah Grace. So, the ED report, we are, ODE is setting some goals for us in the areas of K2 attendance, K12 attendance, grade 3 ELA, and grade 8 math. And then we have one more that we get to choose ourselves, and we chose science for 5th grade.
Oh, I was wondering how that happened.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, we're still waiting for them to tell us what our goals are, and I heard that's coming soon,
Is
so.
that specific to Mosier Community School?
Yes.
Like our goal? Oh,
Well,
their
kind of
assignments?
state goals, and then we're in kind of like a consortium, a grouping, so they grouped us with
Okay.
what are supposedly like charter schools, but in reality are not like charter schools. Like, some of them are like 600 kids. So it was kind of an odd thing. And so, like, North Wasco also, so we're separate from North Wasco in what we're trying to accomplish as far as that. And we're just gonna wait for more of that, and Teresa Peters, who I work with Columbia Gorge ESD, she's keeping us posted and gonna help us through that. We also have made the decision to go ahead and join the Oregon Coalition of Community Charter Schools in August. We're gonna and is it like $1,300? It is, yeah. And so $1,300 for the first year, and if you do another year at another $1,300, then you're a lifetime member. So we're gonna try it out and see. They have, they definitely lobby a lot at the state level. And I think that they have a lot of good resources for us to use. I kind of went to a membership thing and listened to what they had to say about it. It just seems like it's like those are our people, those, you know, charter people, so we need to probably lean into them a little bit and just see what they have to, like, the lobbying part. So that going back to the accountability, originally, charter schools had to do the same goals as their sponsor district. They lobbied so hard that got separated. And matter of fact, it was in it. We were at the charter meeting in November. The Dr. Sherry, the lady that's the whole superintendent of schools, she had promised that they would separate them and then they didn't. And this Iris Chavez called her up and said, that's not what you promised our group. And magically they were separated. So she's good at what she does. So yes.
So I have just a question. I don't know if you know the answer. So I'm just curious to know, with this lobbying, if the charter schools don't want to have the same, be expected to follow the same standards as the public schools, what's the argument for
Let me
the
clarify.
funding?
We want our data, our students
Uh-huh.
to have their own. We don't want to be tied to North Wasco.
Okay.
Because
Okay.
they're good,
So
like
it's
their students
differentiation.
are very
Mhm.
different. Like, I mean, I'm looking at test scores,
Uh-huh.
like our test scores are higher than theirs.
Mhm.
So we want to push our kids, like we want to push that a little higher than that.
Okay.
So it's like, we all have the same standards, and we all have to do that's why we're doing the
Okay.
map testing 3 times a year.
I just want to be differentiated. Your data
We
differentiate.
want to have it be for our particular school and not tied to a larger school district that might not represent us.
Mhm.
So,
That makes
yeah,
sense.
so I should have clarified that.
Okay.
Let's see, I'll move on from the attendance proposal. So a couple proposals that I just want you to be thinking about is to develop a committee of parents, staff, and I took middle school, but I was talking to the MCA. I just think students, just parents of students. Oh, no, I did say, and middle school students, I'm sorry. To research the current use of technology in our classrooms to better inform what technology is used, when it's used, and the frequency of use at MCS. I already have a parent that's ready to be on that committee, and I bet you might know who she is.
Me?
Becca.
Oh, me too.
Yeah, and I've already reached out to her.
And Rebecca.
I actually have another parent that I just was talking to, and they would also be in that. And I just think that it's a committee that we would probably start next year and just kind of like researching, like, because this is a big hot topic right now, and I've been reading a lot about it. And how do we, and I think that us having a better idea of what is being done in the classrooms, you know, and do we need, I saw a thing called that we can be technology light, you know, so we still need technology. We still need kids to learn how to do word processing. They need to know how to make slideshows and all those things, but it should always have a purpose. Like, why are we doing that? What is the purpose of it?
Intentional
So, yeah,
technology.
intentional.
Yeah.
So that's one proposal I want you guys to think about. Also to provide 2 paid curriculum planning days to staff during the summer. One would be as a group for all of us to meet together, to do some vertical planning with science and social studies. And the other one would be for each team could have their own day that they met together just to do planning for the next school year.
Cool.
It was something that was done in my previous school district, and it's something like, it just helps the teachers so that they are ready to go when the school year hits. And I think that we could probably, we're kind of whittling away at that SIA funds, but we could find some funds in there. So just be thinking about that as a proposal. And then the other thing is to bring the education and arts to classrooms at least 1 day a month. It'd be great for 2 days a month, but I just think that if we want to increase the Friday, what they were talking about is like, they could say, and if you want to come on Friday, we're going to be doing more of this. So I think it could be a great way to increase that. So I'm just putting those out there for you to think about, and then we can talk about the next board meetings. Great. Student enrollment, you guys can read that.
I do want to ask you something.
Yes.
Talk about that. is there a breakdown of the 207? Like what does each class or grade, I should say, look like?
I did, and I actually took that off.
I
because
know,
was
okay, I was like, where's that? You usually always have that.
It's on the, yeah,
I know,
the
I
last
put that
one.
back on there. I was just trying to save space and trying to make, I just feel like sometimes, like, we could go through the ED thing a
Yeah,
little bit.
no, it's just so big now, so
I
much
know,
bigger,
yeah,
so
yeah,
I'm like
yeah.
interested to see, because we voted to cap it at 24, and I know
Yes,
in some instances, we have to go over because of where the student lives, or, you know,
yeah,
all
so
things.
just to kind of clarify that, so like,
Mhm.
so we wanna talk about, we're not talking about, we wanna talk about targets.
Mhm.
So that we have target numbers, not
Mhm.
like caps, so
Mhm.
things like that, because I think that,
Mhm.
I'm gonna just tell you from, like the contract, like you don't ever put things like that in contract because we
No.
can't control a lot of that.
Mhm.
We are better than most schools because we can control a lot of that,
Right.
right? And so our target numbers should be 24. We talked about that.
Mhm.
We had a conversation, and we certainly have that conversation about what they, what everybody feels is a good class size.
Mhm.
We have to look at lots of different things for that. We are at that for everybody. The exception is we have we have 25 kindergartners, but I do want to say 4 of them have not registered. So we and their K1 class sizes are currently at 22 and 23. So we've left a little wiggle room in case somebody does move in. Like when we have the open house, I had a family that just moved in, and they have a first grader, but they go to Horizon Christian. So they might, who knows, they might show up on our doorstep. We don't know that. So we do, like Daphne's very good about keeping that. And also we do lose students over the summer, and we want to be, we have 29, actually probably just added 2 more kids to our wait list because we have people constantly every week asking to be on our wait list. Yeah.
Which is something for us to think about. Like, I mean, I know that all those kids aren't in the same grade band, so it's not
No,
as
they're
easy
not,
as being
yeah.
like, let's hire another teacher.
Yeah.
Right.
And invite them all. But I mean, the wait list is something that was a goal that we wanted, when I
Mhm.
first came on the board, that was a goal, and now we've got it, which is
Mhm.
great. And yeah, like we just learned of 2 students who aren't
Mhm.
coming back today. So
And my guess is there'll be more, and so it's kind of a careful dance between letting the people that have applied to attend get their spot so they can lock that in,
Mhm.
but also understanding like we don't want to have 2 full class sizes, and also understanding that we're gonna lose some people. So it's probably better, and I just, in my old school, we always kind of did make sure everybody was full, because we did know that some people are not gonna come. Like they move, they decide to go somewhere else, and just, I think that we want to, we have so many wants. We want to bring in arts and education. We want to do this, we want to do that. We want, all those things. And those things do, come at a price. And so we have to kind of, make sure that we're like,
Yeah,
one of our
and-
strategic planning goals is financial
Right.
stability,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Right, and staffing every year,
Yeah.
it increases,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and I mean, it's challenging because you want everybody to stay, and
Yeah.
then there comes a point where,
Mhm.
the budget,
Everyone's maxed out on
Every-
or
right,
more and more.
right,
Um,
right.
That's another good.
but that's a good problem to have.
Yes,
That is a good
right,
problem to
that's
have.
good,
It's a
yeah,
good
that
problem.
people
Yeah.
would be staying in that, yes.
And we've got experienced
Yeah.
teachers.
Yeah.
But that is like a bigger conversation to have with like our teachers and our staff,
Mhm.
looking at the numbers, looking at the budget, looking at like kind of projecting out X amount of
Mhm.
years.
Yeah.
And also thinking of other ways to bring in money,
Mhm.
right? Because right
Yeah.
now we're talking about the money that comes in through the number of students, but there is other ways to bring in money, which I know, Michelle, you've expressed interest in the past of
Yeah.
exploring some of those, like
I-
endowments and things like that.
Right, I think like, do I have the capacity to do that right now? Nope. Will I have the capacity to do that? Yeah, the hope is yes. The hope is that, yes to that. Yeah, I think it's a great conversation. It is a great problem that we have now, right?
It's a good,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is, yeah, it's a good
problem.
one, yeah.
I am gonna like postpone that youth through survey 1 more month.
Okay.
I did, so if
Okay.
you click on those, you can look through it.
Yeah.
And then, we'll give it a proper presentation next month.
Well, and we're meeting as a staff
Yeah,
tomorrow to
yeah.
go over it.
Yeah.
I would love to go over it because I did review the elementary, and it really struck me how much differently the students answered versus the parents and the parents and staff
Yeah.
were much more in alignment. And the students responded quite differently. So
Yeah.
Keeping in mind that some of those are third graders that answered those questions. I've had to sit through a third grader that didn't read and kind of had to read over the questions, not here, but before. And like one of the questions was, do you get help when you need it? And she's like, no. And I'm just like, come on. Helping you right now. Like it is a funny thing, you know, like getting that back from kids can be quite, and it also depends on the day that they happen to be there.
Of course. I mean, with everything, there's subjectivity.
Yeah. I think like this being our first one, I think next, like this is like our base. And then
Right.
next year when we do this again, it will be better data.
I
right?
wonder, because I saw that the fairness and discipline was asked to the staff and the parents and not to the younger kids. And I wonder, is that how the Youth Truth Survey?
Yeah, they do all the questions.
They do all the questions. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I thought that one was interesting.
Yeah.
You know, I would want to know, you know, how kids were feeling about that.
Well, I thought it was interesting that the kids all felt that the teachers respected them, but they felt that their peers did not respect the teachers. I think that really stood out to me really big.
Yeah,
Because
that was
I think
interesting.
to me, that I feel like they're noticing
Yeah.
discipline.
Mhm.
Yeah, right? They're
Yeah.
noticing that, so.
But yes, let's
okay.
like dive
Like
into that
moving
next
on to
time.
Yeah, so you can look through those and then come with questions in June and then we'll hopefully present
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Okay, Sarah,
Great.
Grace.
Sarah Grace,
Do
Sarah
you want
Grace.
to finish?
Well, I have you next doing that, so. Yeah.
You're next in
Yeah,
line.
You're next in line, so.
Sweet. I sent it to you and.
I know, I think I might be able to put it on here, just to see.
Okay, and I'll zoom it. I'll make it so
Okay,
folks on
cool.
Zoom can see it. And then, yeah, you'll probably see it up there. Let's see.
Well,
You will.
I was thinking about taking. I did.
Oh,
yes.
Two times. Okay, let's see if I can do it this way.
Thanks for staying to present, Sarah Grace, even if you have a babysitter.
Yeah, you could be doing something
You
else.
could be doing something
much better.
She's here.
Quiet.
Okay, hold on. I'm almost there.
So this is just going to go through what we're currently using at our school. This is very up to date as I met with teachers and or conversed via email yesterday. So we'll just kind of jump right in. On the reading one, which is on the second page, this is our biggest struggle at Mosier right now is reading. Every team, and really when you dive closer into it, almost every teacher is doing something different. So for K1, they use UFly. Haggerty is just used in kindergarten and they use some foundations. And all three of those are kind of like a phonics-based program or a decoding program, teaching spelling patterns. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, I was just trying to make it so we could see the whole thing and it's just gonna take a second for me to get back down to the next page for some odd reason. Oh, gosh. Oh, yep. Does that? There we
Can you
go.
make it full screen so we're not seeing the tabs and stuff so that it's just in presentation mode? Is that possible?
I don't know. That's what I was just kind of trying to figure out.
Yeah.
Can you please get to the printer? Does it give you any of those?
This one I thought was gonna do it for me. Fit to width. Oh, I just saw it. Yep.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I think it's just a little delayed. There we go. How's that look, Julia?
Done.
Perfect.
Mahor? Perfect.
So
Hmm.
K1 is using UFly Haggerty
Oh,
for
shit.
kinder because K1, oh, I'm sorry, what? K1 does split by grade level for reading. So they're blended for math, but they're separated for reading. And so UFI Haggerty and Foundations are a phonemic awareness or decoding. They, for their actual like teaching reading, they're coming up with their own materials based off of the standards. 2-3 I met with, and Lisa Goddard is using the primary comprehension toolkit, which is it's based off of a Heinemann, which is a well-known program, but it's a teacher manual that she has that she's creating from that toolkit. Words Their Way, which is very similar to what K1 is using. That is teaching spelling practices and understanding like spelling blends and vowel teams. And then they use some of their benchmark readers. So benchmark, which is our current reading curriculum. They use some of those leveled readers in their reading small groups. 4-5, we are the outlier, and some people don't like that we're the outlier because we're not a part of the mainstream, but we are using benchmark with fidelity. We use it for everything. And I'm put down at the bottom, Mosier Community School adopted the Benchmark Advanced curriculum back in 2020 when we had a bunch of COVID funds. So before they expired, we used those funds and did an 8-year adoption for Benchmark Advanced. That subscription ends 07 of 28. So during the 27-28 school year, typically, if you followed like a normal adoption model, that would be when you pilot a new curriculum to then adopt the following year. Or the 28-29 year, you could spend a whole year doing different pilots, and then the year after that, you could adopt, if we decide to go that route. Middle school currently does not have a curriculum, so I talked with Savannah. She said that they do standards-based novel studies. She uses Units of Study, which is a well-known Lucy Calkins for writing, and then she uses Teacher Pay Teacher for grammar supplements. And you know, I was really thinking about how I wanted to present this to you all, just because these are my coworkers, these are my friends. I love them, and but at the same time, I think everybody is feeling that we're not on the same page. In a typical school district, the ELD teacher, the reading specialist, the IEP teacher, everybody would be using the same curriculum, and it's kind of like an 80-20 model. You know, teachers need their autonomy. They need to show their craft because that's what makes them good at their jobs. So using the curriculum 80%, and then the other 20% or maybe 30% is what you do best, and you're coming up with a game that models with the standards that you're teaching, or maybe you're doing some sort of station or having a novel study that matches based on, you know, maybe what your thematic lesson is. But right now, everybody is doing something different, and that's not equitable to students to have to learn and understand different things. And I think the best way to explain that is if we're all learning subtraction, and in K1 they're teaching subtraction with picture models, and in 2-3 they're learning subtraction with regrouping, and in 4-5 we're teaching subtraction with borrowing, and we're all teaching it differently. That's not to say no one's going to get the right answer, but it's becoming complicated. So looking at what do we do moving forward? If we look at math, which is the next slide, K1 uses our math adoption is iReady, and we're on a 6-year adoption, which expires next year, will be our last year, and then we can either pilot a new adoption, a new curriculum next year, or do it the year after. But K1 uses some iReady. They do mostly look just at the standards and then create content based off of that. 2nd grade uses iReady very closely and aligns well with it. 3rd grade uses a Go Math resource book. 4th and 5th grade and 6th through 8th, we all use iReady. We have very much declined in the online portion. I don't use it at all in my room. I don't think any teachers do. There's a couple of students in our school that are doing some lessons on their own and we are able to assign them lessons. But I think that's the extent of it.
So it's an actual book, textbook, so.
I've seen.
So this one, we're a little bit more aligned, but I still think having at least elementary, it's very rare that you find curriculum that goes K through 8, very rare.
Mhm.
iReady does in math. I know of one other, maybe two others that do for reading. So it's hard to find one K8. Usually you can find K5 or K6 and then a middle school curriculum. So I think that differentiation is good. But between, at least in the elementary, we kind of all need to be on the same page. Science is on the next slide. This is a recent adoption. Last year was our first year with science and we met as a team, and K3 is enjoying twig science for their students, and 4th through 8th grade is using STEM scopes. Social studies, K through 3rd is doing thematic units based on standards. 4-5 is doing very similar to that. However, one highlight of benchmark is it has a lot of social studies curriculum implemented into it. So, and then K8, or excuse me, 6-8 is doing, they've created their own curriculum based off of, that's what their focus was this year for Ed Excellence in their unit mapping. So I think a lot of teachers feel that social studies is an area of getting more, especially because we want place-based and we want, you know, right here in the gorge, we're bringing people in. I think this is an area where we, like,
I think we could create a lot of our own, and what you spend with curriculum, you could spend that
On
paying
somebody to-
teachers
yeah.
to create that curriculum.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it would probably be a lot more aligned to what we want in our school and us. I mean, I think it's also a lot better, like, because when you get national curriculum, it has, especially social studies, because there's some crazy stuff out there.
Lots of stuff.
Yeah, that they have to put in for certain schools and districts, and it's
Just-
a lot, so.
I'm just gonna flag, because
Yeah.
Julia just flagged for me. We've got about 25 minutes left.
Okay, so the next one is Wayfinder is our social emotional learning. We just renewed that contract for next year, and that's Miss Lisa comes in once a week for 30 minutes. We've purchased Accelerated Reader, which is students can read books and earn points. And so they can go online. That's for grades 2 through 8. So you might have heard it like the Tiger Rallies, recognizing kids for being in the Million Word Club or having so many points.
What's it called? Sorry.
Accelerated Reader. Oh, I'm on the next slide. I'm sorry.
Oh.
So AR points, like I have several kids in my class that have read over 100 points. And so maybe a chapter book is worth 6 points. So they're reading dozens of books to get in that 100-point club.
They love AR, but I wish it had a different name so bad.
That's true.
Is this something we do at home, or they're doing it in class?
They
and
can do
keeping
it at home.
track?
They
I'm
can
like,
do it in class,
no,
and it
no,
counts
no.
any book that they.
Zeke would love it. Okay.
It's amazing. I don't
Yeah.
think 2-3 has,
Okay.
because they're not on the computers, they're
Okay.
not
They have
necessarily
to.
using it.
Okay. Okay.
But it's
That's
a
why
big
I-
push for 4-5.
Okay,
Thank you.
good.
We've purchased IXL. I don't think we will for next year, just with our push to get off laptops, but it is a great resource when, you know, you're doing a science lesson and you've got half your class that you want to focus on to really dive deep, and you need the other kids doing something that's on the same lesson or level of what you're doing. You can pop them on IXL, and it has has very instant feedback to the kids.
Well, it has like all the standards, and they're all grouped, and so if they need to work on fractions, and it's very sequenced as far as the fractions, like at first you're gonna start with this, and then once you pass that, you'll go to this.
But
And
mostly
you can-
online.
And you can assign that.
Yeah, it's 100% online.
Oh,
It's
okay,
100%.
yeah. Okay, skip.
And then the last one is we use Forefront to it's where we collect all of our data, where we can look, and at the end of next board meeting, I might show you guys what that looks like on Forefront, just from a grade levels perspective. But it holds the diagnostics from the years past that we have, our map, dibbles and our universal screeners. And then we do use NWEA MAP for our 3-year assessment on reading, math, and science. And then we're currently going through dibbles right now. And even as we move our whole school K1 adding to the MAP test next year, we're still gonna do the dibbles testing just because it's a good indicator for dyslexia and it's a good fluency.
We're required by law to have a dyslexia screener for all of our kindergartners and any new first grader.
Nice. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
It's nice to see.
Thank you.
And thank you for bringing a real interest to curriculum to Mosier School, because I remember when in the time we met Henry that we started and noticed that there was a need at the school, and it's been great to see you continue that work. So
Thank you.
Yeah, agreed. And more into the future. Cool.
Okay, I'm gonna keep
Okay, let's keep
Okay,
tipping.
We have the
going.
summer learning grant. We are awarded $870,000. We are partnered with Northwesco. It will pay for our Jumpstart Kindergarten, which actually also includes arts and education for that week.
Oh,
So
great.
come in during that week. And then we this year will have our kids participate in Rise and Soar, the program in the Dalles, which we did last year. And the hope is next year we do some of our own summer stuff. It's just like we can't be in the building in July, or and we don't know how. Yeah, we just couldn't be in the building. So, all right. And then let's see. And we already kind of talked about that. The other thing there. You were we got to meet Kristen Whitley today, and she was here, and we can talk about that later. Safety drills were all they changed the safety drills for next year, but there's just a few tweaks to it. So we're gonna meet as the safety meeting, and then we'll map those all out at our next meeting. So for the next school year, we're still working on that gym projector. His projector is taking forever. He is really frustrating. So, but I noticed that we actually have wire. We're just now missing the projector. So we literally email him a couple of times a week. I told him I was going to put Dawn on him next time. So, and then he'll know. So, asbestos, we're all good to go with that. We have painting bids. We need to kind of, I guess, decide. We have 3 painting bids. And I have those for you. You take one down, pass it around. Look at that. Well, that would be Dawn.
wow, John.
You want the green one? Okay.
Goodness.
So, so the painting bids, we have Hood River Painting, Ricky's painting, Ricky Ricardo, just so you know. Yes. And then Stoic declined. Garcia, we've been trying, but they did not return calls. And then Absolute Construction, those were 5 people that we had, and we came out of that with 3 bids. If you look at it, Hood River, Dawn was a little concerned about this. Their price went up the longer it took for them to do the building. It just kept going up. So there wasn't like a set price. Like if we can finish this in 3 weeks, it's gonna be this much money. If we can do it in 4 weeks, it's gonna be this much money. So that was a little bit crazy. And then he brought in we could be here for 5 weeks. so little worried about that one. Ricky's painting, he was here for 3 hours looking at the buildings and really asking some really great pointed questions. He was at 99,000, but our friend Dawn told him she is good. Like I hear on the phone, like she got him down $3,000. So and then and that is one bid for all 3 buildings. So this building, preschool, and that, which both buildings, I mean, they all need paint.
And the wood.
Huh?
And the wood, because I see one has no wood included.
What, huh?
Taking care of the trim.
Well, so the trim is not actually the trim. Most of the trim is actually the stucco. So if you look out at the build, like they have like those trim
really
pieces,
wood.
and that actually the trim so the trim that's way up on top, it's kind of odd because it is wood, but on top of it is a metal covering, because it's not really, it's supposed to look like a rain gutter and it's not.
Oh,
It's
Julia
just
has one.
very, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Julia, not to interrupt you, Michelle, but.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm just trying to track the conversation. So that we are talking about bids for painting the building.
Yes.
This is not DOE funds. This is a combination maybe of Tiger's Den fundraising and school funds. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
And I missed a step where what's driving the urgency of painting the buildings? Is they're just overdue? Is it aesthetic? Is it safety?
I would say if you look at the tree that's peeling off right now, it's we're probably gonna end up, if we don't get it painted, having to redo that trim up there, which is probably gonna cost lots of money. Because it's like, if you look at the trim when you first walk in, it's all peeling at this point and starting to fall down. The building has not been painted, in my understanding, at least 30 years and probably longer than that. So, yeah.
I'm just wondering for the.
I had the same question, Julia, and I wondered, because I saw in one bid, there's replacement of any wood is not included. That's the absolute construction bid. Ricky's, it sounds like it would be.
Yeah.
And then I wonder, I mean, I'm not an expert on stucco, and yet I wonder if the school could begin by addressing the trim and power washing the building.
We could, I'm gonna tell you, like, those two buildings need paint, like,
The littler ones
definitely need
Yeah,
paint.
yeah.
The other thing that he did, which we were going to do anyway, is all the outside vents so like this unit right here, there's a vent on the outside. We've tried to block them so that cold air, hot air is not coming through. Mitch has done the best he can. Brent was kind of helping him out. What they would actually do is take the vents off, fill it in with foam board, and then stucco over it so that you wouldn't, because they're not needed anymore, so we don't have to anymore, so. That was part of
Ricky's would
his-
do that.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Absolute Construction also had a bid, and his was a 2-year warranty. He has a change order fee, replacement of any wood was not included. Which there's not a lot of wood, like there's really not a lot of wood on the outside other than those, I don't know what it is a very big, like some of the trim is wood, the one that's really high up is wood, but the other one's down.
I'm gonna suggest, I
Yeah.
think that this is
You
really,
wanna-
we're not ready to make the decision now.
Right, but here's your pack.
This is helpful. Yeah, we've
But
got a
this
nice
is
package.
great. This is really.
And
Okay.
I think, we've got to approve a new budget, so I think that this is good to know.
Okay.
And
And then, so we have the facility projects, and then, just quickly, Governor Kotek had executive order on instructional time. I just did some links for you so you could see that. And then, I already reported our instructional time, and I gave you a spreadsheet for that. We are going to be increasing our instructional time and also increasing our bell-to-bell time. So we're all good on that. It's been we all had to submit to the ODE, what we did in 24-25, what we did this year, and what we're gonna do. And they're all going to be looking at that and asking questions. So we're good on that. And then we just talked about the proposal for that. And I did just a 4-day week update. I did meet with Jesse, I don't know, Tageron, I think his name. He's the new transportation coordinator, took over for Lisa. I did meet with him today. He is proposing, so what he's asking us to do is help find a Mosier driver. And depending on if there's somebody in Mosier, he is willing to have the bus just stay here. That person would come, drive the bus, park it. And then on the weekend, they would go take it and it would go back to the North Wasco if it needed any work or anything like that on it. Or if it's somebody that lives in the Dalles, they would just drive it back and forth that way. So we have some options for that. So
yeah, so the person would park the bus and then like walk home. Is that what the thought?
well, if they're, so let's say they
Or work
live
here?
If they work, well, let's say that they didn't, but yes, we could also have them work here for part of that, but let's say they just wanted to drive a bus. They would drive their car here,
Yeah,
pick
yeah.
the bus up, go do the run and go home and work in their yard or whatever they're doing,
Yeah.
and then come back and do the same thing. So that's the proposal for that. He gave us, I'm gonna have some stuff for you to send out to our families just to see like who wants to like learn how to drive a bus this summer. We also talked about that he is assuring that we'll have a morning arrival at 8:15. Lisa was not as assured about that, but he seems pretty like our kids will be here at 8:15 and we'll have buses here around 3:45 for our 3:50 pickup. They are also really requesting that we try to get some sort of idea of numbers, you know, are we gonna need one bus or two bus? So I'm gonna try to send that out here real shortly, so. Or actually, the other thought is during portfolio night is actually talk to parents during that time and see if they'll fill out something for me there, so. And I just have upcoming events there.
Did you get much feedback from the 4-day school week survey that you sent out?
I think I had.
What's the use of the program, like that question?
Or there was the,
So,
how will
how-
your kid get to
how will they get-
school?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
no.
I mean,
So
It was like 20.
sad.
I think I was one of.
I was,
I know, and part of me is like, we're just gonna
figure it out as we go.
kind of what we're doing, right?
We're planning for what we can,
Yeah.
and then we'll adjust as we need to.
All right.
Okay, cool. Any questions for Michelle?
23.
23.
23, yeah.
But because the pickup time was it 8 o'clock in the Dalles?
Yeah, I hope it's
Or is it
gonna
gonna
be,
be earlier?
it will
right?
be about 5 to 10
7:50?
minutes earlier, so.
Oh, good, because 20 minutes, that's pretty fast.
They're coming on the freeway, but yes.
But still, like,
yeah.
I get worried,
Yeah.
for
So
Oh,
the high school starts.
a
at-
little bit of grace time
Yeah,
on
the high school
both
starts at
sides
8
is-
o'clock, and so we're trying to, he's still learning his job, and so he didn't know when they dropped off the high school students. I said, well, it can't be 8 o'clock, because that's when they start class. My guess is and I'm gonna ask Vernon tomorrow, because he drives that, to see when they actually drop off. And I was also gonna say, like, do you have another, like, can you trade it so that Vernon's route is quicker, so maybe he drops off at 7:45. Seems like they should drop off at 7:45 and give kids 15 minutes to get into class, but I don't know.
Michelle, my recollection is that it was 7:45. Like the last bus was going to be 7:45, and he thought that it could get to Watonka by 7:50, and they were giving kids 10 minutes to get on the bus. But Lisa also said that was really generous. Like, I've been there in that morning pickup, and the parents are typically waiting, and the kids run on the bus, like whether it would take the full 10 minutes. So it may be that he's thinking, well, we can get there at 7:45 because the last bus is like at Chenoweth or somewhere really close to Watonka, and we can start loading kids at 7:50 and be done in a few minutes. I don't know sort of what's going into it, or if it's a little bit earlier, but I do remember we had built in some additional time. Like, we were kind of adding 10 minutes everywhere just to be safe, and also for winter driving conditions, the way Marie's mentioning, to give us a little buffer.
Okay, so that concludes our updates
Yes,
for the
yes,
schedule for
yep,
next year.
yep.
Okay, awesome, good. This has been a whirlwind of an agenda, and we're gonna make sure to cover it all, but we're going back and forth. We have not yet heard from Shannon.
I
Thank
would
you
love
for your
to.
patience. You're next. Okay, what you got?
All right, business manager updates for today. Recently completed financial projects. So for the fiscal year 25 audit, interim audit work has been sent to the auditors. The auditors are fantastic, and we're having a great time working with them, as much as you can with audit. Budget for 26-27 is being presented for your approval, but I think that's moving on. DOE asbestos project scheduled for the summer, as Michelle said. DOE no cost time extension was submitted for a 1-year extension, moving date from September 30th, 2026 to September 30th, 2027. Open financial projects, the field work for our audit is being set for the first week of August. We just have been working on our interim audit items, and I believe
Like
we have them all done.
they are so much more organized, and they have like a thing, they have a kind of a work thing online that they ask us for stuff and we put it on there and then they check off who needs to do it next. So a lot more organized.
It's so great.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, I've been in a lot of audits in my years, and this has been just a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Rails. All right. DOE status, our list of funds spent so far in the financial packet. The asbestos and furnace removal update and funds are to cover. We have funds from areas of the project not fully expended, which have been recommended to use for asbestos and furnace removal in the building. Removal being scheduled for summer break this year. And invoice number 3 was submitted for review with backup documentation. So the DOE is reviewing it currently. Payroll for April was reviewed by Michelle and Veronica and before I submitted it. Payroll for May is being worked on as we speak in my head. Current payroll projects include the 403B interest reconciliation is still underway. We're seeking guidance from an ERISA consultant to make sure the reconciliation is correct and completed properly. Michelle is going to be reaching out again to Jeff Morgan at Horace Mann for more information about the accounts that were set up. I have also, I'm consulting with our auditors and they are asking the partners to see if that they know any ERISA consultants. So hopefully we can get that done as soon as possible before somebody retires. Fiscal year 26 budget highlights. The fiscal year is approximately 83% complete as of April 2026. Total year-to-date revenues are $3,077,536.90, while expenses are $3,562,936.06, resulting in an operating deficit of $485,399.16 before unrealized investment gains. After recognizing the unrealized gains of $15,621.44, our net income stands at a deficit of $777.72, but this does not show the transfers that have occurred from the LGIP accounts, as those are listed on the statement of financial position, not on the income statements. So the overall deficit is largely driven by the significant capital outlay expenditures and timing differences related to state and federal funding reimbursements. So it's not really a deficit.
What
is it really?
What's the,
So I'm gonna get that. I'm getting to that.
okay.
Stick.
Thank you.
It's coming, it's out.
Investment earnings. So in our investment income has performed strongly during the fiscal year, totaling $36,968.60, with an additional $15,621.44 in unrealized gains recorded. While not the anticipated amounts due to the use of funds for capital outlays, decreasing the principal amount in the accounts, combined investment-related earnings total $52,590.04 year-to-date, providing meaningful support to overall revenues despite market fluctuations. April investment earnings alone were $4,644.40. State and federal funding. Revenue from state sources remains the largest source of our funding, totaling $2,483,042.87 through April. Federal revenue totals $399,680.85 year to date. Together, state and federal sources account for approximately 93% of our total revenue. As with prior months, reimbursement timing can cause fluctuations in when these revenues are recognized. Local and other revenue. Other local revenue continues to provide valuable supplemental funding, including or totaling $78,378.48 year to date. Student fees have generated $50,497.15, and extracurricular activities have contributed to $4,639.84. Special fees of $15,000 were also recognized during the fiscal year. Operating results for April. For April 2026, total revenues were $369,386.04, and total expenses were $295,497.81, resulting in a positive monthly net income of $73,888.23. This favorable monthly result indicates that current operations remain stable, even though year-to-date results continue to reflect the impact of significant one-time capital expenditures. Expenses that are over budget. The primary contributing factor to the year-to-date deficit is capital outlay, which totals $719,911.33. This represents a substantial investment in facilities, equipment, or other long-term assets and accounts for the majority of the current deficit. Salaries and payroll costs also remain the largest ongoing operating expense, totaling $1,434,427.40 and $796,255.59, respectively, together representing approximately $2.23 million in personnel-related costs. Other major expense categories. Contract services total $334,165.12, and supplies and materials total $212,743.36 year to date. These categories reflect the cost of professional services, maintenance and educational materials, and operational supplies necessary to support school activities. Other objects, which include miscellaneous expenditures, total $51,394.39. Transfers and interfund activity. Interfund transfers recognized as revenue total $9,105.03. I'm gonna get it. With a corresponding transfer expense of the same amount, resulting in no net financial impact. These entries reflect internal fund movements rather than external revenues or expenditures. Summary. While the school is reporting a year-to-date deficit of $469,777.72, the majority of this variance is attributed to substantial capital investments totaling nearly $720,000. Excluding these non-recurring expenditures, operating performance is significantly stronger. State and federal funding remains consistent. Investment and earnings are contributing positively, and April produced a strong monthly surplus. Financial result will continue to be monitored closely to ensure the school remains on track to meet its long-term financial objectives.
Can we pause there really
Yes,
quick?
please.
So I have just a question, because when I look at the
Mhm.
statement of financial position, or no, I'm sorry, when I look at the budget summary,
Mhm.
it says that we've spent nearly $720,000 on the capital outlay.
Correct.
But it says that that's actually about $800,000 over budget. No, that says it's under budget.
Well, I think that has to do with the DOE
Uh-huh.
thing. And so one of the things that Veronica did is she did reach out to our auditors to ask them like how, because she's got this money and she can't figure out like how to
represent it on that statement.
on that. And I think they came up with a fix that she's gonna try to do that, so that you're seeing that there's money coming in or money going out and then money coming in
To
for
replace it.
So there's not really a deficit, is what we're saying. It just shows it on that document because of the interfund transfers don't show up on that particular report.
Totally. So then of the 720,000-ish dollars that we've spent on the capital, or on the capital outlay, that's like our facilities, right?
Most of that is for HVAC.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay,
think about
so my
that.
question
We
is-
installed it last summer.
Yeah.
So most of the bills didn't come until this fiscal year.
Yeah,
so
and most of it was reimbursed.
I would
Or
say.
how much are we still
Like
waiting?
not, I would say like 400,000 of it was reimbursed.
Mhm.
Okay,
So-
yeah, so that was the question that I'm just not lining it up perfectly in my
Sure.
head. So like how much of that $720,000 has been or will be reimbursed? We know that?
Well, there'll be, so we have another invoice going
Uh-huh.
out, so that there'll be some on that, but remember that this is a cost share.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that we have some of our cost share
Yeah.
that will still be in there, so
Yeah.
yeah.
And, but yeah, so the two things then. One, I was thinking that it would be helpful on the DOE tracking
Mhm.
spreadsheet, or it's not a spreadsheet, but that we look at
Transactions.
on the transactions to show the cost share percentage on there.
Yeah,
If that's possible,
Mhm.
just to like help us remember
Sure.
what we're
I will talk
pulling out of
about it.
pocket.
Mhm.
And then Yeah, I don't remember what
It's
my
like
second
a
thing was.
really good one is, example is like the insulation.
Yeah,
So we virtually got that.
for
So we
free.
can put that as part of our cost share, but it didn't actually cost us.
Yeah. Yeah. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They're dropping like flies.
And so when we get the DOE money, it
Uh-huh.
goes into the LGIP fund, right? So then when we move it over into the other LGIP fund, right, for our building, it doesn't reflect that in the, because we spent it in the expenses, right? But it's not really income.
Right.
So it's just, it looks
Yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
And so what what Veronica's talking about with the auditors is how to make that not look so weird, that we're spending all this money and, why are we at this deficit? When really we have this money coming in, but it's not revenue per se, right? So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's helpful.
So-
It looks like Julia has something.
I would really love to understand it. It's always been really murky to me. How much is cost share? And I mean, I'm not trying to repeat Emily's question, but when we approve things like the windows and the insulation and the solar pavilion and the HVAC and the asbestos abatement, I mean, my understanding of the total amount of the DOE grant is like we are way beyond that total if I add all those things up in my head. So how much of that is Mosier absorbing, and what is the cost to the school?
What we could do is put the budget, the DOE budget in there, because I think that's what's helped me kind of understand things a little bit. I do want to say
Oh, wait, can
Yeah.
can everyone refresh me on, did we actually approve the solar pavilion, or we just?
No.
No.
I don't think anything, Julia, has.
Yeah.
Nothing has happened with this.
Nothing happened.
And I wasn't trying to say that it was approved. I was just saying if it
Oh,
were
yeah.
approved, like
I
in
just
my
didn't
mind.
know if you know, because I was unclear. I had to.
Sure, and I absolutely can talk to Veronica and we can work on, what this cost share percentages are and all of that.
But I
So
think that if we put the budget in so you can look at, because when you look at the budget, you're like, oh, okay. I think why it's $860,000, that's amazing, but this really, like, this HVAC system was over $1 million.
Yeah.
And so understanding like there was this, because I think it's a 25%. I think that the number is 25% for cost share.
Yeah, I think
So-
that's right, but not quite, because we had the Oregon Energy
it
Trust.
has, like a lot of it with the solar was all about the rebates. And so because we haven't gotten that part of it yet, that, that kind of, I think, and you also remember that in order to make a lot of this happen for the HVAC system, a lot of that was not BABA compliant, and so we couldn't even put it as part of the DOE grant
Yeah.
because it wasn't compliant. So there was a lot of that. Brent probably has the best.
Yeah, and I
just
let him off the
cannot
hook
also
tonight.
follow his thinking on that because he's got it all in his head, so.
So I would just, go ahead, Julia, please.
I think we all have our areas where we feel like we move like sometimes too fast and we're being left behind. And this has always been my area where I just have not understood. And I haven't been on, to be fair, facilities committee. And I fully admit I am not deep in the weeds, but I would really love to understand when I approve things like asbestos or insulation or the windows, how much of that is the DOE grant, because that makes it easy to approve it. Or how much of it is going to be cost to the school. And I have at each of those junctures not really understood, to be fully honest. It has not been totally clear to me. I've never seen numbers on any of this that are detailed and specific to each individual approval. And I've seen some invoices that have made me uncomfortable and I have flagged, and then those have not been responded to. So I've gotten increasingly uncomfortable with this project. The DOE project, and just where the money is going and how much and what it's being spent on. And so for me, like I would love a little bit more transparency and more hard numbers before we fly forward with stuff, because it sounds great to say like the asbestos has been approved, but I actually don't know if that's 100% DOE or it's falling on the school. And we're getting to a point where the facilities over payments, the numbers that you are citing are not small. They're really large numbers. These are not in the 5 to 10 grand category. They're in the hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I am really uncomfortable with the way we've been proceeding in this area. And I would love to see some spreadsheets and numbers and would be happy to dive into them, but I just have never seen details on those budgets or a real good breakdown of what's been reimbursed and come back, what we expect will be reimbursed and come back, and what is remaining that the school will be responsible for. So I just want to just voice that for my hope going forward.
I think having the budget in the DOE budget in there is really helpful. I can tell you, I think the biggest expense came from the HVAC system. And I think the other big expense is gonna be from solar. We got reimbursed, well, the invoice just went in to get reimbursed for the windows. That will be a full reimbursement.
Did it go in?
Yes, well, it's in. So when you submit something to the DOE as an invoice, it takes them a while to tell you that it's all, you've dotted all the i's and all that. And so I think it's very close to being done.
Yeah, because the last email I saw was from Christian yesterday asking about what else do you need so we can submit this. So I think there's still an action item there for Mosier from Veronica.
We don't have to, so those don't have to be an action item. So
Not for the board, for Veronica.
oh, yes,
Yeah,
yes,
there's
yes.
still,
So
she needs to do something else.
She submits it, they're like, hey, I still need documentation of this, I need documentation of that. So the windows have been done, that was fully done. The insulation was fully done, but that also was fully paid for by Energy. Like, so they didn't even pay out on it, but that went towards our cost share. And then the asbestos will also be fully done from them, so there's no cost share to that.
And I agree, I hear you that it's helpful to look at the numbers and like to have it written down in front of you. The approved budget was just shy of 1.5 million. So far to date, $896,086.24 has been spent out of that 1.5 million. And we have an invoice out that is for just over 135,000 that will be reimbursed. And yep.
Okay.
And then the cost share that Mosier Community School has paid so far, or including the Oregon Energy Trust money, is just shy of $400,000.
And how much of that was the?
Well, I would say
All our folders.
yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of it was our money.
Sure. Yeah, which is required. And we
Yes,
knew
yes.
that getting into the grant in the first place, right? Because you have to pay
How
it.
much cost share do we have remaining, like to meet our cost share obligations under the grant? If we have documented costs over $400,000, how much is remaining?
Not over 400,000, just under. And I don't know that. I'm just looking at the invoice. It has some of the tracking, but I don't know the answer to that
So
question.
Julia, my worry is the solar part of it, because I think that is going to have significant cost share. to that. And I think, and Brent, I know we've kind of talked back and forth about, I think it's been a pretty tough 2 weeks just with the findings of the rock and all that, and then thinking about, well, is this the right direction to go? And I think that would have been
What he was sharing with us today.
Mm.
But Brent was here and I said, you should go home and we'll text you when we get there. And then it was like 7:20 something. So I said, let's get a update some other day for that. But I think that what we should do is, get the details down in writing where it's easy for us all to see it and understand what was the budget, what's been sent or spent, what's left, what's our cost share, and then from there, I mean, I haven't yet seen numbers from Brent for the cost of the solar pavilion. That was something he was working on last time we talked, but I think the cost probably went up because they found bedrock, pretty shallow bedrock. And so we haven't made that decision yet, but let's get the information that we need to make a wise decision.
Yes.
Yeah, if there's a way to do like an accounting just on the DOE grant, like what have we spent, where, and maybe that, I'm sure that's already happening, but just to present it, sort of in the same way Sarah Grace presented curriculum, or we've seen presentations on attendance. I would love a presentation on budget on the DOE grant, like what is the state of affairs, and what have we spent and what is left, and what's been Mosier and what's been reimbursed or is expected to be reimbursed. And that may be super easy, but it would be super helpful to me.
Yeah.
Me too.
Tiff-
I'd love it.
Yeah,
I same.
everybody.
So.
Yeah, good slideshow. Yeah, and we also have a draft budget that we're clearly not gonna get to tonight. So maybe we just schedule a special budget session and have both of those pieces be a part of it. Does that sound?
Yeah, I would love that because Julia, I hear you on that. And also, I have questions about the budget, and it would be nice to be able to dive into it. I think there's
She did answer your questions. Do you see that?
Yeah, and I think it would be great. I think it's nice for any budget review to kind of reflect back on last year
Mhm.
and see, how we did, and then look at this new one that's being proposed, and then take the time to consider, sustainability and, are we addressing all the needs? Because it's one of the most significant things that we
No, I agree.
do
That's what I'm
as
used
a
to it.
board. And I think that we've come a really long way, and we have a lot more systems. And I personally, I'm glad, Julia, you're focusing on DOE, because my focus or concern was more on contracted services. I would love to know more about what the contracted services were for last year, which ones we're gonna have from last year, next year, which ones we're not gonna have from this year, next year, to understand, what kind of balance will we have to work with, to like absorb the changes that we have coming. So I don't know. I think we're in a really good place after all that we've done. All of us learning more about the audits and all that, to take a deep dive in all of us and have more board members here to.
And I would just like to end the
Yes,
business
please.
manager
Last
notes.
part. Last
Saying that interest in next year's school registration remains strong. Conservative ADM projections for next year continue to be estimated at approximately 195 students.
That's what we have told North Wasco.
Right,
is to
for
just
the
do that.
ADM.
Yes.
Because what happens is, as I'll continue, is when ODE does a reconciliation of our ADM funds for prior years, because they go back 2 years, right? That have been completed and are included in the board packet with the assistance of ODE. So we now have a draft prepared for future reconciliations. So there is a negative adjustment of $66,304 in the 24-25 reconciliation. So that basically overstatement.
Yeah,
Overstatement.
we knew that was gonna happen,
And
right?
this year we have understated, so we have a projected refund of funds for this current year of a positive $236,083 per ODE rates from.
That will happen in May, next week.
Correct.
That will
Yeah.
happen May 2027.
And we've already put that 236,000 in our budget. Our
We have
projected
not.
budget.
No.
Oh, cool, great, that's wonderful.
So.
Okay, so we got
That's our
extra
good
money
note.
to spend. Okay, that is good news.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ended on that positive
Thank you.
news.
We
Okay.
do try. Any
Um,
questions about that?
yeah. Before we let you go, we're getting
Thank you,
close, gals.
Shannon. All right, so
Yep, Tiff.
I move that we postpone approving the budget until a later to be determined, maybe special meeting.
Special meeting,
Yes.
yeah. Yeah, because we have it as an action item. Second, oh, McKenna, second. All those in favor? Go slow to go fast, people. Nice, okay. Okay, so let's look. What have we not
We're
covered?
good on the front page.
Good on the front page.
Okay.
Okay, so update from the Contract and Succession Planning Committee. We who wants to give an update? Bye, Shannon.
And
I'm going to make sure that downstairs door is closed, 100%. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
Drive carefully.
Thank you.
Okay, so the contract is signed. We've already done that with Michelle. Edie, update from the contract and succession planning committee. So we've signed a contract, the succession planning, we've been in the process of hiring
Yeah, you signed my account. Okay,
Yeah.
yes.
and we've been in the process of the succession planning via interviews, to hire a new principal. I don't know that it's been reported out that we got 19 applicants. We interviewed 6 different folks, and we have extended the offer of the job to one person, and we are still waiting to see if they accept it.
Right, and just to be clear, like, we had a hiring committee that was teachers and board members, and it was unanimous to offer that position to that particular person, so that we got to be tonight.
Yes.
So,
Yep. Okay, and we were to do the scheduling, or any questions on that? Sorry, moving fast.
Do we have a sense for when we'll know a final decision from that person? Is there a date?
yes, Friday,
Friday, nice.
I gave it till Friday.
Okay.
It seems positive, but I don't know. Yeah, like, like she came here tonight, saw the school, and you
Right.
might go home and
Right.
say, man, that was a long drive.
Gosh, I need to paint that school. Okay. Any other questions?
that
Um,
was Michelle who signed her contract, not
yes.
My contract.
your
Yeah,
contract,
sorry,
not
the-
our,
If not,
not the new
it's been-
principal.
There's been
Okay.
nothing done on that.
No, yeah,
Okay.
nothing done on that. We still need to hear if we should have a contract, if they want to accept a contract.
Right.
Okay, so I think that just takes us all the way down to committee updates, unless I skipped something.
Do we want to approve the minutes? No?
Oh, the May, we skipped May.
Yeah,
There was
because it
something-
wasn't May, it was something in
Oh.
April, and then I couldn't find
Oh.
it,
Yeah,
so
it
let's
was
just skip that.
April.
We
Okay.
approved April.
Yeah, we
Okay.
approved April.
It was a special,
May was a special meeting.
there were 2.
Oh, there were 2 special meetings?
This month? In May?
Wait, didn't we had the annual meeting and the board candidate meeting. It was the board candidate forum and,
Oh.
yeah, so those 2 are in there, but we could review them next month.
Let's review them next month, because it's almost 8.
All right,
Backpack committee updates, anything to share out?
I don't have anything to share.
Okay, what about fundraising?
Well, Made for Mosier was awesome. Everyone had a great time, but we're still gathering the numbers. There's
Okay.
still people haven't paid and things, so we're sorting that out. But
Okay.
it should be between 20 and 30. Pretty vague, sorry, but
Nice, that's okay. It was very fun.
and just so we're talking about it, the money we raised was for painting the school. So I want to make sure that is clear that we did announce that, and that was clearly what we were raising money for. So
Yep.
it'd be
Copy
weird
that.
to not do
Yeah,
it.
I think that for a future board meeting, it may be worth discussing, having they may work out beautifully, like that may be exactly what needs to happen, but also having Tiger's Den drive sort of what the school then prioritizes, I think is a little bit complicated. And especially since this is a situation that would probably require a match, it's not being 100% funded through that fundraiser. So then that leaves the school in an awkward position, right? Like we have people who are expecting that's what their money is going to be spent on, but then the school is suddenly obligated to fill a very sizable gap. And so I just think it's a complicated dynamic. The same thing, I had the similar feelings around, we've used fundraisers for discrete programs through the Tiger's Den for the playground upgrades. And then, you get community members wondering, like, where are those playground grades? How do I see them? Or we've done it for the preschool program, we've done it for the backpack program. And I just think it's worth some consideration. This is not the time or hour of how those 2 programs work together to ensure that they're working in the best way possible and that there isn't a tension created
for example, if we had a budget shortfall and what we really need is not to paint the school, but we need another TA in one of the kindergarten rooms because we're going to have 24 kindergartners, and that seems like a really critical need, or we have, just enough high needs kids, or I don't know, I'm just throwing scenarios out there, but that, and it's wonderful that Jess will be joining the board, because I think that could also create a bridge and alleviate some of this tension, but it does strike me as a little bit complicated, especially when it's not being 100% funded by Tiger's Den, but leaving a gap that the school then would be obligated to fill.
Well, and there's also still the potential to let it be 100% funded by Tiger's Den, right?
Well, I think in this particular case, it was discussed during board meeting of one of the things that we needed was the school to be painted, and so we offered to help. So it wasn't led by Tiger's Den, but
yeah.
And soon the Tiger's Den will be separate from us financially, because they'll have their own checking account for that. They will be separate. So then I guess they get to decide what they're spending their funds on at that point, and what they're supporting the school with. So.
But I don't know how this works in other PTO groups, Michelle, but that also seems complicated because you have this external entity that doesn't have an elected public body making decisions about the school. Like, I wouldn't want
they're not making decisions about the school, right? It's not complete. It's just the financial piece would be separate from our budget to clean it up and make it clear that there's, for the audit specifically, I think that was something that needed to happen. But there's still, what I'm hearing from you, Julia, is that there's a need to ensure that there's good communication between Tiger's Den and the school, so that we're aligned on our priorities, so that we're not accidentally misleading or confusing community members, or creating expectations from community members that the school then has a hard time following up.
Yeah, exactly.
And honestly, like, anything for Tiger's Den should be extra. Like, it should be like they could help fund the arts, and like most schools are separate. They do not have their funds commingled like we do. Also, most PTOs are funding things like the eco projects, the arts and the education they're doing the extras. Like, our job as a school is to fund
our teachers, our TAs,
the education of the kids. Like, we need to make sure that we are fully funding that and doing that. So so you're right. But if they want to say, hey, we're fundraising for playground equipment, then because we don't have the funds for playground equipment, then then we do work together with that. But,
which is
that totally makes sense. And sorry, the TA one was a bad example, but but yeah, I do think it's complicated for those reasons that I flagged, and that Emily said so much more articulately than I did.
Oh gosh, Julia, that's never happened in life. But that is also a really good segue into the next topic, which is facilities. Tiffany is here too.
Yeah, I sent you all an email. Just finally, the slide slope play area bids are in, and actually, really, there's just been one, because the other one, Molly still isn't. Okay.
I dropped the ball.
Yeah, so we've been trying to get more than one, and just even to find the equipment that a company would say would work for the slide out front, and also a rope pull to get up the slide or up the slope. So anyway, the total bid with installation turned out to be $48,245. Yeah, so there's only $20,000. I'm just laughing because of the previous conversation. $20,000 left, or that's earmarked for playground from Tiger's Den fundraising funds. So I mean, it's a big ask, and I realize that we can try to do. So what I'm asking would then be, basically almost $30,000, $28,000 to get that slide slope completed with the slide and the rope pull up the slope. There's a lot of further work. I know it sounds like galling, but if you go through the bid that I shared, there's a lot of things that have to be done for it to be safe and to be correct, and for warranties to be upheld through the company. And we could install it ourselves as long as all of the same specs are done. But that's also a concern for me, because who's going to head that up? How are we going to find volunteers to do that? In what time and what space? I don't have the bandwidth to organize that. Somebody else maybe does, so if that's an option. And I guess I would just say, if we don't want to approve that, which I understand is no small amount of money, that maybe we could talk about what the board would be willing to approve, how much, so that, then there could be a further discussion with Tiger's Den if they'd be willing to, put more than the 20 that's earmarked and that was raised for that.
And just to be clear, they have more than $20,000.
No, but that's
They
what's
like
earmarked for.
They have like $60,000.
Yes, but I
Exactly.
talked to
But what is it, what is
Jess.
earmarked for? Because they do need to, I do want to say, like, a PTO does need to spend their, just like we have to spend our money by the fiscal year, like, do they have that earmarked for something?
Well, so I did call Jess and Juliana and speak with them today. And I mean, yes, Jess said there's several efforts that, different fundraisers through the year that have, been set for this or that, different things. She didn't tell me everything, because they're also a little uncertain what they even have in trying to work with Veronica and you to get the information. I would just say is what I would share. So they aren't totally aware of what the account balance is for Tiger's Den.
We send them the bank statement.
Okay, I'm just, and so I don't want to do this here. Yeah.
Second in information.
Yeah. So anyway, they felt good about the 20,000, if that's what it's earmarked for, and that's what I got from Veronica. She pulled the report for me and had said this last week that is what has been set aside. So yeah, again, I would
just
Go ahead.
because I was doing it before, I know we raised $60,000 specifically for playground, and I know we spent some on the swing set. So whatever's left, I wasn't sure.
And concrete, like the redo, right? That, or was it like out there? Or did that come out of school funds for the out front? Okay.
Yeah, so far, the only thing that Tiger's Den has paid for, that we pulled money out of is for the swing.
Yes.
And we also did pull some money out for the playground bark.
Right.
Because when we did the swing, we got rid of a lot of the bark that way.
Right.
And so that's the only thing we've ever pulled money out for. So
Okay.
it does seem like because it does seem like a lot of the fundraisers have been for playground. And
For
it
a
does seem
while
like
they
it's
were,
been
yeah.
more than $20,000.
Right.
So
That's just what Veronica had thought was left
Specifically for the
specifically earmarked for playground that she's aware of. So like McKenna said,
Yeah.
maybe there is actually more that is for playground.
Okay, go ahead, Julia.
I was just this is on this sort of systemic problem topic again, but I was just gonna recommend that whenever we make assurances to the community that we're gonna use money in the Tiger's Den context for a particular thing, that there is a caveat in there that, like, if we reach this threshold and get enough to actually do that project, otherwise it will be 2 top priorities at the school or something like that, so that there is a way so funds don't get stuck waiting. Does that make sense? Like that, or this money will be used for the playground or other urgent needs. So we have.
Does it?
That's a perfect
Like,
world
if we
situation
say,
for sure.
if we say, like, we're raising funds for X, Y, and Z, and we have a fundraiser, does that mean that we have to spend it on that? Or are you just thinking of perceptions? Like, is it a
I think
legal
you lose
obligation?
credibility. I don't think there's a legal obligation, but I think you lose credibility with your donors, right? People want to see.
Yeah.
There is a reason people like to give when they know where their money's going, because it's satisfying. And so if they think that they don't see follow through on that, I mean, McKenna can speak to this more than me, then I think you're going to lose faith. I don't think there's any legal obligation when they donate. But I do think that you lose trust in the community. So I feel an obligation to use money that was raised for playground. Now, does it need to be for a $40,000 slide? I don't think so. We didn't talk about a slide in those fundraisers, so it could be redirected. There's like other needs in the playground, and maybe that's what we do, or it could be held on to while we think of other fundraisers. I'm less inclined to match it with school dollars. I don't like that as a precedent. And I think that similar to painting the building, I just think that the Tiger's Den should be operating independently of school funding.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Julia, on that. I think that the Tiger's Den projects should be separate from the school board projects. I think it could be seen as a conflict of interest almost, I would say. And I think it's great to have, you know, follow up and maintain our credibility vis-a-vis the community. If we say we're fundraising and we're going to do something, I think we want to follow through. And I think this touches back on, and I appreciate all the discussions we've had on being more transparent and having better idea of finances. And I mean, even going back to last year, we made a big decision to change what we're going to offer next year with very little information about, you know, how much it would cost and what we made a big motion and we didn't have information on how it was a work in progress, and we have it now. So I think as a board and as a school, we're in a good place to take a very deep dive coming up to really get everything aligned, the Tiger's Den and, you know, how we operate with contracts and facilities so that nobody feels rushed and everybody, we have good practices in place.
Yeah.
Certainly. And I just want to caveat, you know, with, for example, being accountable for what we've claimed, you know, before I ever even joined the board, one of the things that Made for Mosier raised money for was a covered area. Just to give you a sense of like things people raised money for 8 years, or sorry, $8,000 of that was allocated for that. And so we are definitely doing our best, but the reality is one year we make $8,000, one year we make $30,000. We do not know when we're going to hit that and how many years it takes to get to these goals, and understanding, you know, context and how many years and how much effort. And so I would like to say that that would be a great perfect world scenario, but
Yeah,
it's hard.
It seems it would make more sense for the board to address or community, and then the board to address and approve a need after we have
The money.
a bid, or a bid
Oh.
to then be able to be like, okay, the school's gonna cost 100K. As a board, we're cool with 30K. And then Tiger's Den, can you raise 70 or whatever the project is? It
Yeah.
seems like that would be a more natural and sustainable flow of how it would go.
Great.
I don't know.
Whew.
I know.
Okay.
I do
What
want to
else?
say,
Yeah.
like, generally, like, when they're off on their own as the PTO, like, their board should set a budget for their school, like, for the school year, like, and here's our income, the jogathon, the holiday bear, all of those things, and they should set what they're gonna be spending their money on, and then they should, and my understanding from PTA is they're supposed to spend it with
Within
just
that year.
they're supposed to spend it within that year and have just a little bit of carryover to start them for the next year. And so, like, that's my worry about, and Veronica also said, like, we hear a lot of like, well, we raised this and this, like, but there was no documentation on any of this stuff. And so, I do say, like, we have separated their fundraising money now, and they have their own bank account that is there, and then hopefully they're actually going to have their very own bank account that they sign off of. So they get monthly statements. We provide those to them every month, so they do know what their bank account information is, so what money is in there. So, but I think separating is going to be really good, and then they can determine what they're raising their money for. So, and if they're, and again, I think, like, paying the school, like, that kind of came, I didn't know that kind of came out, but I think paying the school is our responsibility because it's our building and it's a maintenance issue for us. So I think, playground equipment is kind of that, it is also kind of extra, like most schools, you know, do some sort of grant or
Mhm.
fundraising for that. Providing programs like the eco programs and all those kinds of things, those are those extras that, you know, are not the, you know, like, I mean, the first year I was ever at PTA, we literally bought reading curriculum. We should not do that, like, they should not do that.
Right.
That's our.
Girls, we gotta close this one
Yeah,
down.
yeah.
Okay, so Tiff, I think to like close that conversation specifically, maybe we follow up with
I'll follow up with
the Tiger's Den,
Jen.
yeah, and see. I mean, I also would just like to say the Tiger's Den has similar to like, you know, a lot of the things, systems within our school. This Tiger's Den has done a lot of work over the last year or two to like
Yes.
really
Tighten up.
tighten up and like it's awesome. They're
Mhm.
doing great and similar to everything else we talked about, there's always ways to improve. So we'll just keep going on that. And then no update on a vision and voice committee, no additional Tiger's Den updates as far as I know.
Not that I'm aware.
Garden committee, it sounds like teachers for some reason aren't really gardening. I think that maybe they needed to have, maybe you could let them know tomorrow. When you're
I
staff
already
meeting.
let Anne-Marie's, like, she's on it. like,
Yeah,
because
I'm
we
not
need to
sure why they
start
weren't.
planting that thing.
Yeah.
So she's
Yeah.
going to start planting it. We just haven't had like the PLC meeting that we'd hope in our staff meeting. It just seems like they've been like so much information.
Yeah.
It's like it's kind of like
Haven't
a
had
board
time.
meeting. Stuff gets off.
Okay.
So we will talk about that. Anne-Marie's gonna talk about that tomorrow.
Yeah, they've got a couple more weeks to get their hands in the dirt if they want.
Yeah.
And then I think maybe for next year, we think about having a Friday program for the garden or something that's a little bit outside of not expecting the teachers to do it during their day if they don't have time for it.
Yeah.
Would anybody like to motion to close?
Make a motion, we shut it down, close this meeting, adjourn this meeting.
Second from McKenna, just right up there. All those in favor? Great, motion passes. Thank you, McKenna.
Thank you.
Guys.
Bye, folks.
Bye.
Thanks, Robin.
Oh, wait. Victoria there for